Hello and welcome to the second week of the Welsh Esports League. We are back. I'm so excited to be back. I really am. I feel like this week is going to be an incredible week. If you're just tuning in for the first time, you're coming back from last week, wherever you may find yourself, this week is going to be incredible. I'm so excited. But before we get into any of that excitement, I'm Minicon and I'm joined by the amazing Britannia. Amazing to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be back and comfortable and geared ready for this one.
Absolutely. No, it's great to have you back as well. It's an absolute pleasure. And as we just said there, it's going to be an exciting game coming up here. Pit Ponies versus the Wolfhounds. We had a first little glance of the Wolfhounds last week, and it was quite a heavy-sided game there on the Pirates for both times, but I enjoyed it. There was glimpses of hopes and glimpses of excitement and really exciting champion picks on the side of the Wolfhounds. So it's not down and out. There are chances for them to win games here in this series against the Pit Ponies, and every single game counts here. It's a best of 3. Only 2 games they get. This is the last game now. But it's not down and out just yet, despite quite a disappointing showing for the first week. It can all be
Translate a bit hopeful that maybe we get 3 games. I think I'm expecting 3 games this time. It seems a lot closer to me. So I think really beat themselves, right? Because we got to see them beat themselves in their draft, but sadly the Pirates were just that tier above that they didn't really get to express themselves in game. Hopefully here against the Pit Ponies, we're going to see more parity in terms of class, and I'm hoping to see that in the draft as well. I'm expecting perhaps a Jinx ban. Both of these teams seem to be playing or building around it in their compositions. We saw Wolfhounds play it last week as well, and again they were rocking that Thomas Kench and Poppy to build towards it as well. I'm expecting the teams sort of to have the same vibe here. For me, the Wolfhounds, they're like hard to predict. I mean, we have a lot of experience with hard to predict Wolfhounds. So I think Pit Pony's objective for the draft or their takeaway should be just to have a composition that works well together rather than lanes that win, right? Because you can't predict these lanes coming out from Wolfhounds. I would be not a betting man in this case, so I would love to see them just have a composition that's like well-rounded. Start with a Jinx or a hyper carry, a great utility support or tank engage there, and then perhaps the same in the top, a solid mid-duo jungle that's early game jungle, like I think something like the Lily we saw last time, something with mid control. Syndra is a fine choice for that as well. So far the bands kind of lean towards that, right? Caitlyn, Vayne, 2 hyper carries that are doing pretty well at the moment. Briar with the cross map, Nautilus, one of those engaged supports that I've seen Pit Ponies practicing a lot of. Darius is maybe off the mark for me, but if that's one of the comfort picks, of course, take that one away. So yeah, here the first pick Jinx is available. I know both teams have been playing it. I don't know
how surely is going to be a high priority.
Whether they lean more towards comfort rather than the thing that they've been practicing. Lucian is one of those that's sort of between the two, and that's that one locked.
And there it is. Lucian first pick. Absolutely would have expected that Jinx there could be picked up here on red side. Do have 2 picks here to be picked up. You know, Lucian still very well paired with Anami, despite kind of recent nerfs, kind of taking a hit against that. But still a really potent double up there, of course. A really strong pair in Shen being picked up here. And as we can maybe see be locked in here, we can indeed see it locked in there. Jinx picked up. And I like this here, as we always said in the previous week. I believe we even mentioned Shen, a strong top laner to have there. Really safe, really consistent. Stand United is such a strong ability. If lanes are losing out, if you've got TP and Stand United, this Shen could be anywhere, anytime, and it's incredibly hard to keep tabs on both cooldowns. Incredibly important if you are looking to do a fight in Dragon Pit. They could be a split push and Shen, easily come down there, despite 1 CD being on cooldown there. But as we say there, Nami picked up with Lucian, nothing new there. I'm liking here, Silas picked up as well.
Yeah, the Silas is quite nice. It's scary because it's blind. I will also note there's been a little issue with the draft because we haven't got second bans, but if both the teams are happy with it, we'll roll. Love the Vi. This is one of the champions or junglers I was thinking of when I said something that's like staple farmer. But it's even better than that because it brings easy to execute engage for your composition, as well as CC to its own ganks, right? You're not relying on your laners having CC, right? Because if you imagine here the Sylas, if you were to pick a Lilia, Sylas has to land those chains for that gank most likely to be successful, right? Or Lilia has to leash the chickens into the lane just to extend the range of that movement speed. Trist here flex is a bit odd, right? Because you're already seeing the Sylas and such. It depends whether we're going to have one of those wacky Wolfhounds and it's like Sylas support. Shen support is also in the question too. For me, whatever is going to have to go in that bot lane with Jinx has to be something that can at least mitigate some of the engage or stave off the Lucian army, because that lane is going to be aggressive. Irelia, Hui, great both solo laners here as well. Does lean towards that more control. I am assuming they're both comforts there as well. Do both bring utility in terms of the engage with long range CC to set up for Vi, to set up for bubbles as well. So I'm really enjoying this composition here from the Pit Ponies. We've got a mixture of damage types as well. Frontline may be a little bit lacking, but as long as you're going forward and doing damage, that won't matter.
I like this here. Yeah, no, absolutely. Really exciting skill expression to be had here in the top lane there. Meech got Aurelia there against the Shen. There are opportunities here. Should the stun land, that they can get a solo bowler, a few early kills, maybe against the Shen. Always really good to have on an Aurelia getting a few kills. AP, even a possibility there as well, if they're looking at maybe more of a angle, a more of a balanced damage platform. But I really like this one here. I really am excited to see how this pans out. Really exciting teams here, as we say. Slight issue with draft, just three bans coming out there. Seems teams are happy with it, which is brilliant. We get to dive straight into the game. But as we say there, Hui is a really strong staple mid laner, really good control mid laner, but it's incredibly confusing. And I know there has been a few picks of this champion before by AJ, but it's not an easy champion to pick up. And if you do happen to kind of use one of your paint spells, use your W maybe to get a few extra mana, get your mana back, but then you don't instead to opt in to use the movement speed or the shielding, you can be caught out there. There is quite a big cooldown on, especially early levels with each of your Q, W, and E spells. If you're caught up on one of them not being used in the right occasion, you can be kind of stung there. Doesn't have a lot of mobility, really. Does, as we say, have that ability to be able to allow them to move a bit quicker across a certain path. But with a Vi, it's very easy to come into a lane. Vault Breaker, it's so strong, and it's really hard to kind of get away from that. As we said, I felt like quite a lot last week. Come in, if the flash is down mid lane, it's really scary to have. Cease and Desist is probably one of the best spells in terms of just targeting one single person down. And I don't think Hui has much of a means of preventing that. Aurelia, maybe in the solo lane, has more opportunity to get away from that, can maybe land a stun before the Cease and Desist comes out. Whatever it may be, more mobility to be had there with Aurelia. But Hui is, I'm sure, going to be a very juicy target in that mid lane.
Yeah, for me, it's a question as to what Hui is going to be laning against, right? Because there's the Trist and the Sylas. Both of them could be kind of flexible. Again, it's the Wolfhounds. I don't dare predict.
Can never.
I'd rather see the Trist into the Hui, simply because you can at least bully him on the first 3 levels before he gets his spells in his paint pot ready and he's picked his palette. Trist can at least, drop the bomb in his head, get the early level 2, maybe even rock the Ignite, show up with a Brand who's going to be clearing a little bit faster than the Vi before the Vi is able to get in there, right? As well, Trist is a lot more able to get away, rocket jump away from Vi, is at least able to make some space since mid lane is so long. So I'm going to be concerned if Sylas is in mid, because Sylas is going to be the other way story, right? Hui's going to bully him down, punch him out, unless Sylas gets some miracle chains and again is rocking the Ignite, something to kind of shake up that lane. But again, if Sylas is fighting and showing up forward, all it needs is one Vi to show up in that mid lane, Hui to land those spells on top of his head at 1 billion miles away, and that's that lane pretty wrapped there. So
yeah, it really is. And Tristana, one of them champions picked last week. And I quite like the positivity that came out of that match. The second game by the Wolfhounds, certainly more competitive. The Singed, the Kled was an interesting pick, and again, I feel that lands into the kind of Wolfhounds ambiguity. We can never exactly pin down who Zoe's going to play, maybe in particular. And I feel like this draft is another great example of a lot of choices to be had for support. It could very much be a Shen. It could very much be a Brand. why not very much could be a Silas as well. I
Yeah.
like that open ambiguity. I like the variety. And I feel like, as you say, I think you mentioned it there, Wolfhounds do have this kind of aura of ambiguity where it's not entirely sure who they're going to pick. So kind of counter picking that is quite difficult. So I appreciate their draft there. You know, some really strong solo laners that can really just kind of get on with their own business and not have to worry too much necessarily about the enemy side. But that kind of ambiguity, especially in the best of 3, is great to be had. I don't feel like anything's really kind of on the table here that would have to dictate there into future games. They've not played the Shen before. They could absolutely do it again or go something else as well. I really, really like this. You could, you know, land into, as we said, Tahm Kench as well. Really positive first game with the Tahm Kench. But I love this ambiguity in terms of the draft. It's so, so exciting.
Cool. So it is Silas support, which for me is kind of exciting, right? Because that means you've got Shen in the lane and you've got Trist in the lane, which I think is the better way around. It is a concern for me because this Silas is going to be fairly well attacked by Lucian and Nami. They have enough sort of agility to get away from some chains, and Silas is going to be struggle like in that lane early. But we saw this against Pirates, right, with the Wolfhounds. I think they're going to be happy again just to kind of eat aggression bot lane, but you've now got the Shen, right, who's able to global for you. And I loved seeing that Shen Jinx first pick. I absolutely blown away that Wolfhounds have committed to something like this. It seems to me like something they've been considering maybe all week, perhaps something they didn't want to show against Pirates for this match in particular. I think both of these teams have been looking at each other as their like best competition. So for them, this is the match they're going to try the hardest for, right? So already out the gate, the Jinx, as I mentioned, highlighted, you've got that backup carry there. But as well, you've now got this Tristana too, right? So Shen has 2 coins, or 2 jars he can put his coin into. And here's some action early from Zoe. I like it already.
I like that there.
Bit of damage there onto Hui, giving Trist room to bully. She hasn't rocked the Ignite, so this lane's going to be fairly stable. But I do like actually seeing all of these solo laners running TP. To me, that just exemplifies the fact that they recognize this game's going to go a lot longer than last week's.
It exactly is that. I really liked what you said there, Brett. Exactly. I feel like there are some picks here and some maybe plays that are going to come out that maybe they've been holding back in their back pocket because, as we say, last week was a very big uphill battle and the Pirates knew that and they came into that game strong and they finished out the games really quickly. But right now, like we say, we've got some opportunities here where we could see something exciting. And I do love here, as we say, the Silas bot lane does actually have the support item this time. Zoe has decided, you know what, that extra goal might be quite helpful. And I'd love to see that adaptation come through. But really, really exciting here. Nothing too crazy right now. I like the jungle picks here. I feel like that was quite a big opportunity of discussion there last week when we had such a big discrepancy, especially in that first game. It was really hard to compete with the Lilia with formidable move and speed, being able to get around the map so effortlessly. And I feel like, speaking of junglers, there might be a little bit of help needed here, as we expected. Tristana with the bombs, easily pushing away, effortlessly as always. But that does mean here the Hui pushing back here, losing out on just a couple of CS. Nothing to worry about too much. Can use the orbs there to get a few bits of mana back to help sustain this lane. But yeah, Tristana, a devil to have in mid lane, and so hard to pin down with a rocket jump. But here
At the
comes
moment,
the counter.
instead, looking to evade into top side. I don't hate this decision, right? You know that Brand's going to be farming faster, so you might be able to catch him off guard and take something. But it looks like we're going to have submarines passing in the night, a bit of a cold war here. As it looks like to me, the Brand's, you know, looking to find Vi here, knowing that he clears faster, right? So hoping to catch Vi, less health on one of these camps. Is able to get this skull here as well, and potentially a good path here as the wave in mid lane is going to bounce out. I think wave management, if it does exist, is going to be really important in this match. You can see there, no angle there for Vi. Is going to discover that Brand here has taken that skull. You see Phil recognizing that Vi should be up here on this top side. It was a leash. Gets spotted.
There it is. I was literally about to say that. I don't think Brand was picked out there. Did manage to get the crab, but is spotted now. Hui, got to be mindful of this.
Yeah, rocket jump forward.
Does manage to land the root. Does come down. The bomb is on top though. Oh, and I think that might just be enough. And there it is. Everson fortune there from the Hui. The vision was put out on the bloom there. Did manage to track the Brand there. Maybe not enough respect shown there from the left side of the map.
Yeah.
Does allow Brand here to go. Get double crabs. First blood onto the Tristana as well. Not even going over to the fiery boy Brand. Really positive start here from the Wolfhounds.
Yeah. They know that Vi's there, but they also
flash
know,
forward.
I'll hold it.
And there's the rocket jump. It's so much movement to be had there, and Tristana's so hard to pin down, but no flash is really positive. But here is the Silas does come up. Zoe goes in. And I'm liking this. The root does come down onto Silas, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Then, unfortunately, the Ignite comes through the flash forward. But what about down here? The Silas is so low. Does maybe manage to go into the grab to get a bit of movement speed. Oh, does decide to actually go back in. And oh, unfortunately, not quite enough there. But the Jinx says, let me try and zap you there. Does go wrong, but this... Oh, my God. I love this here. Into the tri-bush. Does got a vision. But Brand pushing forward. Zap does go wrong again. And unfortunately, there it all is. Dragon just about spawned, and he's just witnessed carnage on the bot side of this map.
That's a lot of action in a very short amount of time. So let's start that one back, right? So we start with Hui, as you rightly put, kind of disrespecting, right? He thinks he's safe because Vi's there, but the rocket jump distance too far, gets caught on the edge of the slow hitbox, which lands Brand to land his spells, and of course, Brand early game, able to land his full kit, Hui's just going to get bopped. That's exactly what happens. They stick around too long, right? Hui is able to get back in time, catch Tristana with the flash, so she has to recall. Zoe's able to move up in this time and is then able to punish Vi. Brand's able to catch out Hui, gets the kill on the second time, because of course he already spent his summoners beforehand. So it's just a little bit of everything, right? It's a pity Jinx isn't able to get any of that gold. Lucian as well, missed out as well, but he's all right. He's up gold. So overall, a great win for Wolfhounds, right? Just being the first one to draw blood, it gets traded back, and they're able to pick up 2 for the punish then on the backside of it as well. Curious to see how that's going to evolve. We have got the gold onto Brand. Has rocked the Lost Chapter first, so he's going to be a little bit slower than expected with that amount of gold in his clear, because it's not giving it the same amount of AP as something like a Rod would, or a Wand rather. So you can see Vi here taking the opportunity to sneak a Dragon. Looks like not really going to be too punished, but that is now information for the whole team that top side should be fairly available. Mid is also pushing in with this wave. No flash as well, remember. So a lot of opportunities here for Brand, and I think that next decision is going to be super important. Again,
I'd love to see that there.
Yeah.
The Aurelia moving forward there into the Rift, just allowing that kind of knowledge to be had that no one's taking Rift Herald there as well. It's a clean take for Pit Ponies to get that Dragon. Nothing in return. Really
They've got a lot of vision
counter
on this top side too, right? As you mentioned, stepping forward to check those grubs. You can see them as well. One in the river, one at the bottom of that mid lane bush, and then one outside of tri-brush as well. There's no way Brand can feasibly get into this river without them knowing. So they're able to get the Dragon and full knowledge of where this Brand is, and the fact that he's going to be ticked up to 6. There's no real place for him to gank other than mid, but he seems to be leaning towards this top. I don't like it. Aurelia's there. She's happy. She's 6. Low on mana, yes, but she's got the wave under her tower where she wants to be.
Really does.
I'd love to see them play
is
towards
so
bot
good
lane.
right now. I feel like it's really hard to kind of just know where this Brand is meant to go. Maybe just decides to go to the mid lane, but as we say, Ward's there on the top left side bush. Copping out this Brand. It's very hard for him to really kind of know exactly where to go in this. Vi, despite kind of getting behind a bit early, has managed to catch up quite nicely on CS. I think Vi's in a really comfortable position right now.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to get the second grubs as well, right? If you consider the fact that she spent time on Dragon, she's going to spend time on another objective. To be par with the Brand is pretty all right. Time dead too, so I think Brand missed an opportunity to do something there, but that is partly because of the Pit Ponies' sort of vision control and management of the map there did do them a lot of favors. I think that was an opportunity missed there by the Wolfhounds to sort of attack bot lane. You hit 6 with Shen. You know that Vi was down there would probably have like recalled after Dragon or move on to camps, but we see an opportunity here. Great
rocket jump forward. Oh, and there it is. A cease and assist, I think, actually does go on cooldown there, ever so unfortunately. And thankfully, the 3 long swords might not be needed. Just the one auto attack was needed to take down the Vi. And as we say, the extra death time might sting them quite a lot here. But great to have 2 kills on that mid lane. Tristana becoming juicy right now. Exactly how you'd like to see it.
Yeah, and this is now opportunity for Brand. He's got the 1 or 2 grubs. He's going to take away some of these camps instead and just prevent Vi having these opportunities to come back in. Trist maybe a little overstepped here, but forward. Rocket jump going to get them away. So yeah, CS now missed by Hui, and that same bot CS lead. I'll hold that point.
Does come out. Doesn't decide to pop the ultimate. A little bit of respect damage there, and that just goes to show. As we say, the Lost Chapter, Amptome. Not a huge amount of damage right now for Brand, but still Very scary to come against him into some fog of war. One grub to take up there for Vi. Nothing too shabby, but unfortunate not to get more there. And there it is.
He's able
Wide
to
grub
secure that
taken
one.
here.
Might
Does
have some
manage to
trouble
get
getting
two. Oh,
out.
but a flash forward. The Super Mega Death Rocket does go wide, but Brand's coming along. Taunt comes through on both. And does manage to land the stun here onto the Aurelia. Flash forward, rocket jump. Bomb is on top and not enough ores to finish it off. And there comes the ultimate from Hui. It's going, and it's just enough there at the Arcade Comet, despite the Stand United being used there on the Brand. And they're feeling confident now. They're going forward. All attacks are coming through. Fear does come through onto Shen. Slow's coming out as well. Flash forward. Bomb. 1. Maybe 2. Is that enough? I think it will be. And there it is. A rampage for the Tristana picking up the loose ends here. I love to see it. So great.
Yeah,
Tristana
great
on
management
double buff as
there
well.
by the Wolfhounds, right? They're initially caught out of the grubs. They have this whole exchange, but Vi steps too far forward in the river again. Last time she didn't have solo laners, but this time she did, right? Hui's able to get there, but sadly it's at the same time as this Tristana, who has been the beneficiary of all these 2v2s beforehand. So her weight in this fight is so much more than Hui. Good job by Hui to get that kill onto Brand, and that shutdown goal is going to help him out a lot. Stand United, not enough to keep himself alive, but that is still enough time then for Triss to get the chase down. The fleet footwork getting just enough space to get that second auto attack in and get the weight on the back end of that fight. But yeah, I think just maybe a little overzealous by Vi to get that one grub, ends up using the smite. You have Aurelia there, so I don't hate the decision, right? You think you got the numbers advantage, but with just the amount of space that Tristana can cover and the amount of gold up that Trist is on that Hui, it just turns around when they get there to that fight. So I think fine by Pit Ponies, but definitely excellent by the Wolfhounds.
Really excellent there. And the first full items coming through. Brand, Blackfire, Torch, and Kraken Slayer onto Tristana. Big damage curves there for both those opponents there. But look at that, using that aggression, using their abilities, using that advantage they've got there, and those items really showing the power there, as we mentioned. Blackfire, Torch, Kraken Slayer doing just enough there. Breaker forward, doesn't anyone cease and desist here. And the culling coming through there. Ooh, the tidal wave as well. Is it enough though? Great body blocking from Zoe. Oh, and it does manage to get another one there. Coming forward, Mega Death Rocket doesn't manage to kill the Vi. A few tower shots there on solution. Is there slim pickings to be had here? The burn is enough there. Tristana also managed to get the last auto. Lucian heading up towards top. And look at that. It's an army getting hit by the tower, and one shot is all it takes. It's a triple on the horizon, surely here for the Tristana, and the Lucian respects, decides to go to the tower, and unfortunately it's not the triple kill for the Tristana, but double kill is nothing to be snubbed at there. 7 kills to 0 for Tristana, the first dragon to be had here for the Wolfhounds. Really positive response there from the jungle and mid laner, but really great there as well. The power they had there in the bot lane with that Vi, noticing the aggression in the mid lane, managing to make things happen. But this Tristana, so much mobility, so much power to clear waves and make a move. It is so worrying right now.
You're absolutely right? Like 7-0 is just indicative of how the Tristana's been able to use that lead. Brand has given them all game. I'll hold the point again as there's more. I think I should just be out here. Last code as well as Vault Breaker.
Stop it.
Team's here as well. Unless Triss wants to try something, which I wouldn't be too surprised at.
Bombs.
But she should be careful with that gold
lead. Does go wrong, but the fleet does come out, and there's one more shot to be had there. And unfortunately, Stand United does manage to come through, and the kill does come through. Red buff on the Lucian. Hopefully a little bit of healing there. We'll just keep him topped up. But Shen's saying, no, I'm not having it. Oh, no, he is having it. Absolutely. Respect is showing there. But Stand United, one of those spells that is just changing every single fight. So great to have it. It's so important, though, that your top laner has got the vision to notice this and make the right cast at the right time, but it does leave Aurelia here in the top lane.
Exactly.
Shen's had to recall to come back. A lot of gold is to be had there for the Aurelia, who, if given enough gold, can be a real menace in these team fights, which I'm sure we're going to be getting very soon indeed.
Yeah, she should be close to a balk by now. I love what the Wolfhounds were doing there. I'll hold that point because every time I try to say something, this Brand seems to have it in for the Hui.
Root does come through, and there it's an easy lineup for the Vault Breaker right on top of the Brand. Super Mega Death Rocket does land this time, just onto the Vi, nothing to be worried about. And great use there of the Fear onto the Silas, just making sure not to get in range there to land any sort of meaningful damage.
Yeah.
Heading here now to the top side, getting Rift
I was
Herald.
going to say, love to see the Rift Herald. You have 2 solo laners with TP, but I feel like you should have waited for them to have TP before you get back in, because otherwise that exactly happens. The Wolfhounds have been doing this all game long so far. They've just been grouping around these objectives, right? The previous one, we saw them similarly to this, right? We found the Hui in the lane, we land a piece of CC, and then he has no escapes, right? He's got that little strip of water, but it doesn't mean much when it's being evaporated by bombs and brands. So we saw them attack that mid lane. They enabled them to that dragon. They end up coming bot lane when Vi's there, and their just power is enough to have enough strength to overpower them in the spot lane. I do like to see that Lucian army finally being aggressive. They've been conservative so far, just growing that gold lead. They're able to slam it there. I'll hold this now as Trist is looking for this tower.
Do you mention the tower stars managed to finish it off? TP does come through now. But Aurelia in the top lane. Oh, it does manage to land a few Qs there, but it's not quite enough, unfortunately. And there it is. 1 kill onto the Shen. Be happy with that. Be able to finish off an item now, I'm sure, on this next recall. But bot lane has been maybe a bit MIA in these team fights. The Sylas has been so great with the Abscond Duck, being able to really target these enemy players. But it has meant bot lane has been very much at the other side of this opposite lane attack here with the Rift Herald going top. Actually been used nice and early. I swear last week these Rift Heralds we forgot were even in the back pockets, but Stand United coming down onto the Tristana, ensuring that 9-0 stays nice and 0 indeed. Sylas, speaking of Abscond Duck, is it in range? It is there. Just managed to land. Chain Lash coming through, and there it is. A dash forward is enough there to eliminate the Nami, getting a second death of this game. But unfortunately, as we said, the bot lane was left very much to their own devices. And Wolfhound said, no thank you, that is enough free gold going to Lucian with an Essence Revener Berserker's Greaves there already. But it does mean here, the mid lane does get a slight push here. But we can have to say the 2 towers to the Wolfhounds and 1 to the Pit Ponies. The Wolfhounds are still doing something right at the moment, and the gold in their favor as well. This is a really close game though. 1 dragon to 1.
Yeah.
Very
gold has stayed relatively even, I think, at this sort of like benchmark, right, where the Wolfhounds have kind of been leading this game so far. I think that's mostly just to the proactivity this brand has had, and the free reign with pairing up with that Trist. Zoe's been a big part of this as well, weirdly, just being able to walk around. As we swap to the gold, they kind of get an idea of where it's landing. Of course, a lot of that is on the Trist. You'd like to see more of that on the Jinx, but the Trist is going to buy time for that Jinx to do that.
Yeah.
We already highlighted that this lane's going to be rough for Jinx, so the fact that she's only at Nova 2, and that was from 2 dives from this bot lane I've had, is perfectly fine. The play we've just seen as well was perfectly acceptable, I think, for the Pit Ponies. I love the cross-mapping. You realize, cool, they've got that Rift Herald on the top side. We're going to sack that. And we've got the strong members here on the bottom side. Our bot lane is stronger than theirs. We're just going to put our members here. Aren't able to get that second tower. Of course, the Shen ult is the big changer, but then that leans opportunity, right? The Wolfhounds move their power into the bot side. They're then able to get that shutdown gold again on brand into that Aurelia, who has now got a Ninja Tabbies, and that's going to be super important, right? Really highlighted. These 2 carries are going to be Trist and Jinx, and you can blow up a brand in an instant. I think really this Aurelia needs to find a good angle at some point in this game, or keep split pushing as we see here, but eventually that's not going to go well, right? Because 5 members to forward, they really have to have TP.
Tidal Wave does go wide. But here, onto the back, onto Tristana, they've got it down, they've got it locked down. Sylas does manage to take the cease and desist, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Lucian finally showing what he's been saving up for all this damage. Jinx trying to kite, not quite enough, the bubble does land. But Lucian does get taken down there, maybe a taunt forward, doesn't manage to catch anyone there, the fear comes out. I think this might just subside, but all while, Aurelia in the top lane there, taking top tower and managing to take all these minions. And this, Aurelia, I feel like is a slow ticking time bomb. 153 CS to the 127. Despite that 3-0 on the Shen, the Shen's having to be called and pulled at all sides, preventing him from really making a stamp in this top lane. And this is it. Only 2 Void Grubs, but that is doing a huge amount of true damage onto that tower already with a Bork and a recurve bow and a dagger. There's a lot of attack speed to be had against that tower. And I feel like this Aurelia on the recall is going to be coming back. Very scary indeed. But really close fight, despite the advantage to be had on the Wolfhound in terms of numbers. This is a very scary change of events here. Maybe the Pit Ponies with Lucian, i.e. Essence Reaver, much stronger than that Jinx, unfortunately, as you mentioned, who has not really been receiving too much gold. Maybe could be doing with an extra bit of gold now to level up that ADC.
And I believe
fight.
it was Lucian who got that shutdown onto Trist as well, which was, I think, about the 900 mark, if not the 4,000, right by that point. Such a good fight there for the Pit Ponies, able to catch Wolfhounds, investing a lot of their spells into the Dragons, so they get to surprise them there. The Nami ult split them in half as well. I find it funny how I was talking about that Shen ult. Eventually, he's going to have to join some of these fights, and Irelia will have to as well. She's unable to. Shen's able to turn that
forward,
back around,
but
make it even.
Straight into the taunt. Brand has managed to pick it up with the Blackfire and the passive burn. Stun does come down. But what's Irelia going to do here? 1Q onto the Brand, on the taunt, and the stun, and the roots, and all the damage on top. Irelia is taken down. Great to kind of shut down and minimize that Irelia right now.
Oh, good TP.
Great TP then. Great to see as Tristana, as we say, could have very much opted into the Ignite, decided to go with TP. Does manage to alleviate this pressure here in the bot lane. It is Hui there. I can just about see it. Maybe. Oh, Tristana, I think, does actually jump forward there, gets the bomb, but the flash does come out. The respect is shown. And this Tristana, look at that attack speed. Navori Quick Blades does mean, despite having plated steel caps, the attack speed's still there, still potent. And of course, we can never disrespect the Q steroid there, getting an extra attack speed when that's on cooldown. You don't need to build too much attack speed on Tristana. She does it herself. But no flash here in the way, and I think Tristana knows that as well. There's a potential for an angle here.
Yeah,
the root does go wide.
Finally in the game, being able to use his spells to kind of gauge where Trist is in the wave. I think he wants to be slower about clearing the wave, not use all of his spells on it, just let the wave come to him. It might mean that the tower gets chipped, but look at how far up this Tristana is. He just needs to wait for Vi to be in the vicinity, or even bring Lucian down, right? This Trist is still worth 450 gold. If you're able to keep stockpiling that into Lucian or onto Vi, or heck, even Irelia, even though she's up here in that top side, it's going to be sort of Pit Pony's priority to find whoever's on the weak side, right? The trouble is that Shen, that pesky old Shen. So I expect to see some changes into the draft, regardless of the result of this game.
Yeah.
But, I like this here from Wolfhounds. Again, targeting
Not
this
spot out in
way.
the vision.
The flash just used as well.
Flashless way. Feed does come out. Does manage to get the movement speed. There's just enough there. Bomb does come through, but that is 3 people in bot lane. It's a lot of priority put to this bot lane. Can something be made across the map?
Pit Ponies are running across for this one. Straight from the base. They've just spent gold as well. If Pit Pony's going to win a fight, they're going to want to make it this one.
Ooh, and there it does come forward. Oh, and the 6 assist is enough. It's a trade of 1. Super Mega Death Rocket does land from the mid lane Jinx. As Jinx decides to come down, Irelia is there for kind of duck. And then Tristana dealing insane amount of damage, but there it is. Can't stop the tidal wave. Can't stop the bubble. Vaultbreaker does come forward, and top of the culling, there it is. It's a great trade here, but Jinx might get caught out on the rotate. Doesn't, but look at that. I feel like this Lucian is really showing that power to be had on that early advantage from the bot lane. Lucian Nami, such a strong combo. And I feel like it's really starting to show now that this Jinx is so far behind. The CS as well. Only got the Zeal there into the second item. It's proving to be so difficult. Doing well on levels. Not really falling far behind there, but the items are really making the difference here. And Tristana, doing what Tristana does best. Taking towers with that bomb and the attack speed advantage. So great to see that.
Yeah, those towers are just going to melt at this point, right, with this Trist. They're going to melt as well by the time the Jinx gets there with Hyper. But what they need is just free access to towers like that. At the moment, they're being matched, right, as you say. Trist is powerful, but Lucian is now currently about as powerful. And your other laners are starting to hit those 2 item points. You've had those shutdowns. And Shen didn't really get to use his ult effectively there. Pit Ponies are able to win that one. They get those resets and all that spent gold. I'll hold that point as the Wolfhounds here setting up around this objective again. They're lacking some ultimates.
Do manage to land a Volt. Oh, but the Chompers are down. It does actually go to the side of the Wolfhounds. That's 3 dragons and 1 kill. Can they get more kill? Flash there from the Jinx away from the bubble. Aurelius here in the backside though. Can they get in? I don't think they can get in just enough time. Zap does go wide, but Tristana is getting the reset on that rocket jump. And the burn, the Blackfire, and the passive is just so potent. Lucian running away, I think, will have a dash to get away if anything does get a little bit sticky. But Irelia, unfortunately, not able to make any meaningful play on there. Was behind the Dragon Pit, and they were fighting on the front side of that pit there. No. Couldn't get in on time, but look at this Brand. Super Mega Death Rocket does go wide, but it doesn't matter because Brand is so strong right now, and there it is, and Liandry's on top of it. Of course, there's infinite amount of burn to be had there from the Brand. This is worrying indeed. I love to see it, though.
Love to see it indeed. And it was really a big turnaround. I'll hold it because there's more
The reset,
fighting.
though, from the Vi ultimate does come down from Aurelia. A little bit of pew-pew damage there from Tristana, but I don't think it's enough there. Does get another Abscon of Duck. Kingsley does manage to get a little bit of life back. Bomb is on top of Aurelia, but the heals on Nami, I think we'll just keep them on. Flash forward there, onto the backside here. Tristana, rocket jump is out. The root does come through, unfortunately, not managed to get many auto damage. Onto Shen. I think that will just about subside there, but great use of flash there from the Vi to get onto that Tristana, but the Tristana is just so pesky to get on top of. Such a nuisance to eliminate there, but Brand moving maybe a bit too far forward there. Does manage to get 2 on the stun here. Tristana goes forward. Oh, but the burn is managing to get enough there. And the Lucia on the backside has the culling. I thought it was a great maneuver. I thought it was a great play, but it's not enough with this insane amount of AD, AP damage. How to itemize against it is so strong, and the CC is just immense there with the Shen as well. Recall here from Tristana. Oh, the TP back there does come from Shen. The super at that point blank range is enough, but the Aurelia says no. And the Shen also says, yeah, how about another no as well? Great use of TP there from the Shen. This mobility across the map is just unrivaled here from the Shen. And there it is, 10 assists, 0 deaths. The Shen with Hollowed Radiance, Deadman's Plate, is so tanky right now. And there it is, the Tristana does recall, gets a reset, comes here straight into that top lane. And Zoe, yeah, that's a silent support pushing out the mid lane. Why not? It's an AP champion. Let's get the wave pushed in. I like to see this here. This is just what little advantage they had there is really becoming something more, using the pressure they've got, using the great wave clear. This is such a big turning point here. Vi, I believe, does spot out the Tristana. But it's 3 levels difference. You just got to let him take that blue buff. It's a shame, but it's got to be done.
Yeah, this Vi's having a hard time, right? Because she's the one they're relying on to pick these targets. So you're seeing these points where Lucian's going to have to flank with a culling, which is not a great point to be in, right? Because he's just going to get shut down by the Shen and such. As we see, Wolfhounds are more than happy to play flexible. This team comp is irregular. It's hard to play front to back. And we see it there, as you mentioned, the Zoe Silas doing so much work. But here's a flank in itself.
Assist here. Does get into the back line. The tidal wave comes through, gets a few. Silas does have pick up the Vi ultimate, does go forward. Ooh, but the Seeker's arm guard is used there just at the right time. Ooh, but doesn't manage to quite get a kill there with a death rocket. The Spire literally hitting and just about missing there. So there it is. Nothing for nothing right now. A lot of CDs used. Tristana maybe moving forward here into the bush. The ward is well placed. Does allow them to know that flank is coming.
Man, these supports have been playing so well. Zoe being able to steal Nami ultimates, and these bubbles have been coming down as well. They've both been sort of tit for tatting each other for performance, but I'll hold it again.
She's got him ducked, and the damage from Tristana is unbelievable. Where does she go? Chompers does land here, so Root on top of a stun. Bye-bye, Nami. I think that's enough CC for you. It's great to see this Jinx pick up a few kills as well towards the latter end of this game. I think it's needed to really kind of just alleviate that curve here, that big Lucian advantage to be had right now. But again, there it is. Tristana just deleting these towers. But they're going to be looking at this inhibitor. A little bit of damage there from the first wide grab they picked up. They do manage to take it as well. I mean, the Brand and Tristana are so strong. They have a lot of power in their presence, despite a 3-man advantage.
They need to be careful here, though. Objectives are coming up, so they can't overstay on this one. They are exerted as well. Pit Ponies here have got a lot of, well, they're more recently spent than the Wolfhounds here are. They're also worth a lot of gold. I think Wolfhounds here really just want to back and sort of show it to Baron. They've got that bottom side inhibitor already, so it's going to make life difficult. Just keep vision control so Aurelia can't get back into these fights. But here's Brand, he's looking for an ult, and he finds one.
But does manage to get one. Look at that damage there as well. Stand United does manage to come out into Brand. It comes through. Boom Plant knocks them away. Chompers does go wide. The stun just about misses from Aurelia, but Tristana goes forward. The damage reduction is enough there for Aurelia. They go forward. Abscond, abduct, manages to stun them out. The Vi is gone, as well as that tower. And despite that kind of slow pace attack and the deep positioning there from the Brand, it does manage to pay off. Super minions on that bot side as well. Ooh, and the return from the Zoe, the Aurelia roll, the tidal wave does get forward there. It's not enough to save out that Aurelia though, unfortunately. Mid inhib taken, just one more inhib standing, but there is also 2 towers standing before this Nexus. They could back, they should back. There's great neutral objectives to be taken. The 4th dragon, they're Baron, but they're feeling confident, so he goes forward. Does manage to land the stun.
They got hyper
Is
interest.
caught
This
up
one's
though in
it.
the bubble, and I think might just fall there with the ignite, but it doesn't matter because look at that Nexus tower. Maybe one more auto attack will do it. Maybe not. There it is. I love that. And Tristana finishing the game 15-1 to 7 assists. Unbelievable indeed. Great first game there. Exactly what we expected. More competitive. Equally as exciting though.
100%, right? For me, this game was great. Initially, I was concerned looking at this draft about picking Tristana in that position. You already know there's going to be a solo lane at this point because he's got the Jinx. But I'm eating my words here, right? Like I say, you much rather have that Trist into the Hui, and that's why, right? We got to see that all game. Brand shows up, 2v1, that long lane, Hui's no escape, Trist able to jump on his head, put the bomb on it as well, gets the kill, and that just doesn't seem to stop happening. Hui doesn't have the agency to play the lane anymore. Vi loses that lane to gank. Hard to gank that Tristana as well, as we mentioned, the rocket jump. So Vi is kind of stuck in this place where there's a Sylas, a Tristan, a Brand kind of attacking her at all angles. And Vi's game gets so much harder from that point onwards. She's unable to get the engages. She rocks the Eclipse, so she's not quite as tanky. She just gets blown up by Trist whenever she attempts to make it in. And whenever she does, there's a Shen ult there. Irelia tries to make it to the fights, and she's unable to crack in. There's no real ward for her to flank with. It's concerning when the best Irelia ult this game was from a Sylas support. Irelia sadly never got the chance, attacked on that side lane multiple times, just kind of left out on a limb. I liked the Irelia from this look. I liked the decision making about when to split, when to join, but sadly the execution of unable to get those towers when split pushing, unable to get those big game like flanks when team fighting just kind of made that one feel a little sour. But really, commendation, of course, to Wolfhounds here. The Jinx in the back pocket, never had to leave that back pocket, nice and comfortable, just raking up minions, raking up CS. There's a timer on this one, but for once it's Wolfhounds. They saw 20 minutes, and by God, did they love it.
They absolutely did. They're spot on, and this is it. Like the Jinx was really at a disadvantage in that early game. The Lucian Nami was so strong. I felt like the Vi spent a lot of time on that bot side of the map as well. And despite that advantage, and despite the undisputable power that Lucian had there, Jinx, as you said, is a ticking time bomb. It's great if you get the couple of kills early on because it means you speed up that time bomb. You get to that goal faster. You get your crack and your IE, whatever it may be. You get there a lot quicker and you can become unbelievably strong when you get excited. But they never had to whip out that hard. They never had to whip it out because it was always there cooking in the background. But Tristana and Brand were the front runners doing that incredible damage. They never had to fall onto the back foot there and allow that Jinx to get a few bit of extra gold there. Really well-rounded composition. I really love to see it. As you said, Zoe last week picked some interesting picks. But this week picked an interesting pick. But boy, did it work this time. The Sylas was great. Great ultimate to steal. Tidal Wave was well used. Cease and desist from the Vi was well used. Great ultimate to take. And it meant that due to the Sylas being an AP champion, could have the Zhonya's, the Seeker's Arm Guard, had Kingslayer to get life back. It meant that it was actually maybe a better Vi. Unfortunately, Vi could get into the back lanes, and we saw great moves out there. Flash forward, Vault Breaker, cease and desist onto the back line, Tristana. But they're so weak. They had the Eclipse, but that shield almost evaporates in 2 seconds against that super strong team. The damage was so vast. It meant that this Sylas could maybe actually be a better engage than the Vi, despite doing the exact same job. So really positive, exciting game, and really, clear positives on both sides. It's about adaptation here because we are in the best of 3. We do go into game 2. Wolfhounds will be happy. They will be excited about this. The Pit of Ponies by no means are out of this one.
No, 100% right. And I think we already highlighted, right, this draft was a good showing for both teams, right? I really liked Pit Pony's draft. I said they have frontline, they have backline, they're going to play towards this bot side, and they have agency with their jungler, right? I think I'd like to see them play something with mobility maybe in the mid lane if they're going to be predictably attacked, right? Something against the Brand. I think maybe that's the only thing I would change. I think the rest of the looks were great. I think coming into this next draft, the big highlight to me would be 5 bans because it makes the second phase so much more intricate, and it prevents the things like the Brand coming out and that Triss where it's going to be a little bit rocky and these lanes get difficult, and especially when they lock that Sylas and things get flexible, you're able to take away some of these picks, right? I think as well the Pip is going to look at that first 3 bans quite closely. Jinx, Shen, they were the first 2 picks. I think you're probably fine to leave the Jinx if you know you're going to win on this bot side, but I don't think you leave the Shen. I think that Shen was so important in turning, well, not even turning these tides, but as much as stopping the tides from turning, right? There are so many points where the Pit Ponies look like they're having a good fight. They had a couple of dives, a couple of dragon fights where it's like, yeah, it's going well. There's a Shen ult that comes in, and it's like, that changed something, right? There's just enough health or bought enough time. Trist is now able to kill you. You don't get double, you get single, right? So I think Shen's off the board or stolen. Potentially first pick. You let the Jinx go through, you let them have Trist. Cool, we know they're picking Trist, we're going to have Malphite mid, right? Something just happy to scale armor. We don't care about the mid lane now. It's just a CC bot for our Vi to come in and get that kill instead, right? So for me, I think the Pit Ponies want to look to have blue side again, and I think they want to have more agency for the mid lane and take away agency wherever they can find it in Pit Ponies draft. Be it the Trist, be it the Shen, either one needs to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Something has to change on those hyper carries and even that Shen in the top lane, but we'll see how they decide to adapt into this next game. I'm sure this is going to go to game 3. I'm betting my house on it, but we'll have to wait and see. Can it be ended up in 2 games? Don't go anywhere. We'll be with you just after this short break. Hello and welcome back to Game 2 of Pit Ponies versus the Wolfhounds. The Wolfhounds chomping away at their first game, and what an incredible start for them. But boy, did the Pit Ponies put up some really strong battles, and I'm sure they're revving to get out of their pits right now for Game 2. This game is going to be exciting. We discussed briefly a few adaptations to be had. Shen is a champion that I felt like had such great priority in that game. TP, stand united, all over the map at any time, and paired with a Tristana also with TP, didn't require that kill pressure in that lane against the Hui. Maybe that's an adaptation to be had there, where if they do pick Tristana again, maybe there's an opportunity to have a champion that has more prior and more aggression in that lane to ensure that Tristana maybe has to go into Ignite. But I love what we had in game 1. There were areas of great success early for Pit Ponies. Mid-game starts to kind of taper away into Wolfhounds, but any which point was on a knife edge could it spill to either of those teams for a successful game. Can't wait for this one, Brett. Are you excited?
I am excited because we've already had 2 of the adaptations we called for. 1, 5 bans. 2, Shen is gone, right? So the champion that I've been talking about possibly the most consistently over the World Leagues is like just the impact Shen can have in this like level of elo and coordination. Shen obliterates it. We see a game of Shen finally. We see a ban for Shen. It makes no surprise to me. So far, no difference in bans here for the Wolfhounds. I'm not too surprised at this. I think they probably landed close to the mark. I think perhaps you do look at like the Lucian, or at least take away the Nami so you don't get to then pair it with the similar options, because that lane is potent. Trist also gone. That's a big one for me. Like to see that they've not really threatened the Syndra or the Nautilus. They banned those last time. Zoe's playing anything and everything. Nautilus support ban just doesn't feel appropriate, and the Syndra when there's Tristana on the board also just doesn't feel appropriate. So far, Pit Ponies, as you say, leaping out the gates already with those changes in mind. I'm curious to see what they'll take first. I think the Lucian is perfectly fine. I think they're happy that they can win that lane again. The Wolfhound's bot lane is not their strongest point on the map. It's definitely that mid jungle. So I feel like securing that first choice in ADC, one that you're confident with blinding and winning any lane with, makes sense, and they do exactly that, locking out that Jhin.
I like to see that there. I felt like maybe they're on the side of the Wolfhounds, they could have actually picked the Nami, knowing that Lucian, if were to be a first pick, would have been quite an easy pick, and Zoe's an incredibly flexible support. It could have been the Nami pick, but I like this. The Jhin is incredibly strong. It kind of can maybe have quite a big impact as opposed to the Lucian, who we found having to do quite quirky engages and get into means of landing that culling as a forms of damage early on. Maybe we don't see that here from the Jhin, who can land a W, land an R from quite far away, isn't entirely reliant on a bit of an awkward, intricate path into a team fight. Fiddlesticks, Kled, we saw both these champions in Game 2 from the Wolfhounds, and Kled could go support, could go top lane, where maybe we'd all argue it belongs, but we'll have to wait and see. This is what I love to see here from the draft.
Yeah, and I like the Fiddlesticks here. I think one of the minor details I paid attention to was the warding out of Pit Ponies, at least from the middle point onwards. They seem to get caught out a lot of objectives, or walking into or up to an objective. There's a lot of times, well, Dragon is spawning and then Vi got caught in the jungle once or twice, right? Or there at Rift Herald and then gets collapsed on. So the Fiddlesticks is going to be a great way to punish that. I like seeing this Diana here. Personally, this is going to be kind of flexible, right? This could be jungle, could kind of be mid. It feels perhaps more akin to the style of champions their mid laner would play as more of a top laner than a mid. So if this one does end up mid, there's going to be something I expect them to feel a little bit more comfortable on. Ooh, why is it every time I cast, there's a Kassadin? No matter what it is. Okay, cool, Kassadin. So bans from this point onwards. I expect to see maybe support bans, right? You're looking at some of these engages, something that Zoe might struggle with the Kled. You have counter picks, so you don't necessarily have to take away the solo laners as Wolfhounds. You're going to take away perhaps like the worst threats, Syndra being apparently the first on that list. Means that Nico and or Diana, they don't expect to be mid lane, which would tell me that it's Nico support and then Diana jungle from the outlook of the Wolfhounds. So they're looking to protect this Kassadin, which makes sense. It's like Tristana, but from level 16 onwards, instead of from level 3. So here we're just going to see...
I like to see this.
Sorry, go on.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely, Brett. I think what you've said there is that this Kassadin, I think, is getting a bit of a buffer now. I think they noticed that this Kassadin, as we all know, level 16, unlocks unbelievably strong Rift Walking 24/7. This Nico, I feel like you're right. I think what they did in last game was, B1 and 2, they picked up Jhin and Nico. And in this case, in the previous game was Lucian Nami. They picked up their bot lane first and foremost. This Nico, though, could very much go into the mid lane. And I might actually like to see that against the Kassadin, who Nico can really kind of pressure this melee Kassadin early on quite well. So maybe that will come out. The Aurelia's taken away there, who, although maybe come towards the end of the game, didn't have a huge amount of impact, but the laning was not at fault, and the split pushing was not at fault as well. So this Aurelia just maybe got dealt a short hand and was pulled at too many sides from this all over the place Shen, who could never be pinned down. But I like to see the Lucian taken away as well. It does mean AD carries are a bit thin, but the Jinx...
But it's just going to be Jinx anyway, right? Like,
is left open.
I feel like if you don't ban Lucian or Draven, it was still going to be Jinx. Those feel like dead bans to me. Maybe there's data that we don't have, but yeah, that feels like you're banning almost your own champion pool when you've already locked the Jhin. I feel like you'd much rather attack top lane or jungle, right? They've not... Oh, they've already taken... Yeah, they got support. Yeah, so you'd much rather just attack the top pool, I think. Give your top laner the most leniency possible. There's the Malphite that I discussed. Depending where it goes is going to be important, but I currently really love this draft, right? Because now that we've got all of the 5 champion circles locked in, we can see the amount of Venn diagrams this team wants to create, right? Like, you've got Thralls, you've got Rings of Frost, Malphite Ultimates, Diana Moonfall, and you've got, of course, the Pop Blossom there from Nico as well. Like, all of these AP circles crashing down on top of your head, and then a Jhin to worry about in the back. So Kassadin's going to be a key piece late if it ever comes to that point,
Mm-hmm.
simply because this team kind of wants to be a melee range, right? Kassadin has to be fed, otherwise this team that wants to
Mm-hmm.
be a melee range, when Kassadin Rift walks on top of them, is like, thanks, you've just saved me walking from here to there. So for me, this team comp from the Pit Ponies feels strong again. I'm a bit mixed here on the Wolfhounds one, right? We've seen Jinx
Mm-hmm.
not do amazingly and wants to scale, but the saving grace for them has been that they've had a proactive like jungle and mid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Casting's going to be harder for him to scale quite so easily, especially into melee into range the other way around this time. We know the Kledge probably supports, so there's going to be a Tarm top. He's not going to be like out of the gates early, so this Fiddlesticks just wants to farm, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you gank mid to give Cassidy an alleviation of pressure, but I think this Pit Ponies composition feels a lot more like the Pirates games that we saw last week, where they want to hit 20 minutes and be like at a status quo or a slight deficit. Otherwise, they might not get to see 30 minutes, and we're going to have a flip of game one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do feel like the Pit Ponies have really kind of got an exciting read on this game coming into it. As you say, there are copious amounts of CC, copious amounts of denial for any form of engage, which especially against the Kassadin. I feel like if a Kassadin comes in that isn't that fed, will be at a big problem, because it means that there are means of instant CC and instant deletion onto a Kassadin who can only really silence a handful of people, can only really deny a little bit of incoming damage, but there's such a variety of damage you see from this team. And Jhin is going to become an incredible menace, and doesn't matter about any forms of silence, really, because so much auto damage is going to be coming out.
Yeah.
There are opportunities here that Tahm Kench can obviously, Abyssal Dive and be able to chomp maybe someone, potentially the Nico. Quite hard to ensure you're getting the right one. The Wolfhounds have means of engage and means of pushing forwards, but I feel like the Pit Ponies are just incredibly hard to pin down exactly how you're going to fight a team fight. It's not straightforward. It's not easy. So if the Wolfhounds have had a little bit of a pre-team discussion, or maybe planning out exactly how they want to approach this, the Diana is maybe a champion that I feel like can have great means of damage, but if they vie into maybe more tank-centric builds, doesn't have a huge amount of impact, because of course Lunar Rush onto any of their players will do incredibly well. It's going to be hard for the Wolfhounds to really make an impact in this game. They'd want to see that Jinx get strong, and strong indeed. Maybe with the Tahm Kench and the Kled, there's means of tank and means of health to kind of buffer that backside Jinx, but it's hard.
Yeah.
There is so much CC and so much damage as well. It's not just locking someone down, ensuring that the damage on top of them will kill them. And I feel like the Pit Ponies have that guaranteed damage.
Right? Like, put yourself in the position of Jinx here, right? You're loading into this game. You see the enemy team. It's like, cool. So I have to avoid Diana Moonfall, a Nico flank, Curtain Call, Lissandra being on top of me, and that's if Malphite hasn't already flash ulted me, right? Same kind of goes for Kassadin. Yes, he has more tools, but he still has to get through that Venn diagram to Jhin, probably. And then, like, Diana sort of in the pecking order, right? So I think Malphite's build might just be a game ender, right? Like, he's laying into Tahm Kench, she's like hybrid damage, that's fine. You build armor anyway because you scale with that, so boom, here's Sunfire Cape. Cool, so 3 members of my team do AoE magic damage, Abyssal Mask, or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
You get the health, you get the MR, so that now you can face check into Kassadin and into Fiddlesticks, be fine, and that item is just so gold efficient anyway. Yep. It will also help your Sunfire damage tick up, because that's magic damage, and then you can go Unending Despair just to make sure Jinx and Khaled can't shred you, or an API, right? Whoever gets most fed, or solid Jack Show, right? Cover both your bases. You could even go maybe a Knight's Vow if you want to be super efficient again. Sunfire Aegis is a fair option too for door resistance, a bit of health. AoE shield as well when you're all getting in there, just to make sure that there isn't super mega value from a Fiddlesticks ultimate on top. You can at least mitigate some of that initial burst. So for me, the Pit Ponies here, their itemization is going to be kind of important, but it's kind of their game to lose, is how I feel about it, right? Tahm Kench will have to sit on top of the Jinx, but that's fine, because Malphite is going to hit both of them anyway. yeah, like there's a lot of pressure here on this Jinx to play well in the team fights. Casson at least has his own agency, but the rest of this team's going to have to be really, really on top of it. Kled and Fiddlesticks are going to have to do so much work with disruption um, that it's so kind of scary. And that's if we get to these late games, right? We can now, that we're on the Rift, start to take a look at these lanes, right? Already like to see this from the Fiddlesticks looking to get ahead. It's going to be spotted out, the Tahm Kench, but it's just going to isolate this bot lane. So if Diana this time chooses to, where they sort of failed, I think we attacked it in the post-game analysis, that Vi didn't really utilize this bot lane. The solution never got to see the lead that maybe he wanted to. He was powerful, but never got to break out the game like that Triss did. You now have so much utility. You have a Nico and a Jhin with all that CC. Diana can just show up bot lane with that like bottom side, top side priority. Let Fiddlesticks have top lane.
Knows
what's he gonna do?
Raptors here. Oh, does manage to get a Luna Rush onto the big Raptor here. The Fear could come out, but I don't think it's got the point into it just yet, so just got to auto attack. Did manage to get one. Ooh, does manage to Luna Rush and does take the big Raptor, but here now caught out onto a Fiddlesticks that is firing a few crows at them, but does get the Q, get Conqueror here, a few health is coming out, and does manage to land the W on the Lissandra, and there it is, the priority that was clearly well thought through there. The Lissandra managing to get a push and a Casting with the Q is not going to be able to do much against this lane.
You're level 2 Cassidin with a tier. You can't really move.
Not too much.
Your Fiddlesticks, your W's down, and you've got first strike. You're staring at a Diana with Conqueror. You probably don't win that. She's also got red buff, so you can't run from it properly. So you should just leave it in like the first roll of self-defense is run. Fiddlesticks self-defense trigger with there was, we'll try for it. Like, fair enough, get your chicken. But once, you know, that order's been complete, go home. Take away somewhere else, right? Like, great stuff for Diana. Gold here for the Lissandra, so this lane for Castin's going to be more tricky, right? It's literally kind of a flip of what last game was, where Triss got the gold up with that range advantage. Summoner spent there as well. Diana's going to be in a great boat up CS as well, and now she is still heading toward the spot side that I said she should be looking to prioritize, because this is your lane to attack. Jinx hasn't got any real bonuses provided here by this Kled. It's not going to do a lot other than sort of bear trap on a rope, but when you're running away, that only brings him closer. So if you're able to get onto this Jinx with any of the amounts of CC, just even exchange Ghost is great. You're in a good foundation there for the opponents in this game.
You really are, and like you say, this Cassidin tier slowly gearing up towards maybe a fearsome level 16, but until then, this Doran's Ring, one kill here, CS advantage, Lissandra is going to be such a problem, and I think the Pit Ponies are aware of this. Castin's a menace later on, but early, not so much. Does manage to land a Q there, a little bit of damage, but maybe a bit more excitement here in the bot lane. Kled going forward, Ignite does come down into the Nico. A few autos coming out here for the Jhin, and also this Fiddlesticks coming down as well. Looking to maybe make something happen here, but the counter-attack does come forward. The W does land in moving forward, maybe moving too far forward. Bear rope, but a trap does come through, gets pulled forward. The Flea comes out as well, and that Fear is just enough. Chompers doesn't quite manage to land on Jhin there. The Q is not enough there, but the W could be cooking here, and it does cook indeed. And it does blind take out the Fiddlesticks there, and we love to see it. Incredible return there for the Jhin, who is, despite being 3 against 1, managing to take up a kill. But Kled does get spotted out there, doesn't have Skull, but it doesn't matter. I think this Jhin is in a real safe spot right now. And again, this Diana doesn't want to use her own camps. Why take your own camps when you can take the enemies? Kled does go forward, pulls it back. Not enough, though, unfortunately. Does lose Skull again. I'm sure it'll come back in just a few seconds with a bit of courage. But there it is. This is Diana,
so good
courage,
for Diana, but also
constantly
so
in that jungle.
Simply because he gets to farm this bottom side wave. He got the kill as well, whereas it went on to Fiddlesticks. And whilst Fiddlesticks was dead, Diana was able to farm his entire top side, right? So there is such a huge gap now in this jungle. You can see it here, 5 to 3 level. Fiddlesticks. And that's going to be tough. You can see it there in the CS even, it's double. Cassidin's not helping himself running Electrocute into the lane where he might have wanted Fleet or some kind of sustain. This bot lane has to back now without being able to get the wave under the tower, so there's now a CS discrepancy in favor of Jhin plus the 300 gold. It's looking a little bumpy.
It is hard. It is hard. And your contingency plans, your fallback, your fail safes are Cassidin and Jinx, which are going to need a little bit of extra time. They're not going to come online for a good couple of minutes, and at which point might this game just snowball into an insurmountable mountain. But priority here onto the Void Grubs, taking this, and Diana does quite a good job of cleaving them down. I'm sure there's nothing that can really be done about it. Good timing, because the recall has just come out from Tom Kench, coming back to top. Fiddlesticks' bot, and there's nothing that can be done about this. And the Dragon could be a cross angle to take here, but I feel like the bot lane is really quite strong as well with that Jhin with 1 kill, Swifty Boots, Serrated Dirk as well. It's not much that can be taken back in retaliation right now, especially with such a weak Kassadin.
Yeah, and I feel like that bleeds into the Dragon, right? I can't see this team getting onto this Dragon. You see Fiddlesticks here starting it, but to me that's terrifying, right? The idea that Diana can just show up. So bot lane's having to move now. That's indication that you can. Kassadin's had to back, so he's going to buy in TP, but I feel like Lissandra should just move here. Diana's 6. Okay, they are going to get away with it. I'd expected Diana just to run straight for this Dragon, though. That your bot lane is stronger, your mid is stronger. You should just be able to have this. But they seem to have just given that one up. They'll take the CS and the lanes as well. Diana's still mighty far ahead. The only lane that's really behind is the Malphite into Tahm Kench, but the cameras have not been up there, and we've not talked about it simply because that it's not really going to matter until somebody else shows up, right? Yeah. Unless they surprise us with like, oh, one of them got a kill or something, like there's a 20 CS lead, but look at their health bars, it simply doesn't matter. We'll see.
The E does go forward for Sandra though. Maybe no escape here unless they use the flash. Does manage to hold it. The bear trap doesn't go off on the rope, and there it is. Everyone just gets to walk away. But I do like this again. Zoe really proactive in picking champions that allows them to move across the map and get into this mid lane. I feel like the mid lane does need a little bit of help, but unfortunately that does mean Lissandra is a champion that really does need a flash, and if the E's not used and the flash isn't used and the Frozen Tomb still hasn't been used, it's hard to really get a kill down on Lissandra. So a little bit more pressure may be needed before any kill threat comes through, but does allow a little bit of alleviation right now for the Kassadin. But here the Diana does get spotted on this tri-bush. Oh, flash forward. And the ultimate used there. Unstoppable force. Well, look at that. They're out. They're all okay. And they just about had enough mana to use it, which I'm sure they're happy about. Curtain Call does come through, though. And there it is. Who would have thought? A double kill in the bot lane despite being spotted out there, Diana. We can see that the ultimate was used there by Diana. And there it is. It's such a great use of an ultimate there to get 2 locked down with the ultimate. I think is being thought about. It is being thought about here from Fiddlesticks. Rift walk forward, silence, and there it is. Oh, the Frozen Tomb is used perfectly there. But Mega Death Rocket, unfortunately, does go wide, and the E is just so well used there. I don't think Casting can quite catch up, but every CD used there by the Lissandra, but so great to be able to get out of that. Such a well-placed gang. Fiddlesticks is jumped on there. Does manage to land the fear. They decide to go forward. The Reap is used. The silence is used there on top. And oh, okay. Does manage to get the E onto one of the minions. But no mana here from the Kassadin. Used too many Rift Walks in too much of a quick succession. And the mana goes down so quickly. Needs that T upgraded instantly to be any real threat with that Rift Walk right now. But excitement is happening. And that is Lissandra doing so well to get out of that. Malignant's picked up as well. That Frozen Tomb will be even more potent, even if used defensively. That damage and Malignance as well is going to be doing quite a lot of damage there as well. Such a great first pickup. And I think, it is the first for Lime here in the game going that Lissandra, who really you don't want to see run away with this game, especially with your casting really needing to get that gold to just ensure that kind of lean into level 16.
That's so much permission now for Lissandra just to kind of ult off cooldown, right? You got 20% of it back, so by the time that you've used it, forced Casted out a lane, and he's come back with his item, it's going to be back up. And you can just kind of keep that cycle on top of itself. You know, you've got Diana ahead as well, so even if Fiddlesticks does show up, which we've seen in the skirmish before, it can't really go too wrong at the moment with the gold lead that you have, as long as you're spending it and keeping up that tempo. We see here, Diana in Fiddlesticks' jungle, using the Moonfall.
Lands the Moonfall. And does get feared away, but I don't think they're going to be able to get enough. Red buff is there. Mega Death Rocket does go wide again, and the Rift walk forward is not enough there to catch that Diana. And again, rightfully so. Might well take these 3 grubs. And this, for the first time in this series, will be possibly 6 grubs taken. I don't think there's much that can be said about it. The Tahm Kench could come down, but there also could be a Malphite to join them. And there it is. A 4th, a potential 5th. As we can see here in the top lane, Malphite is getting low, but I think can just get away there. But We saw this last week. The Tom Kench here in the top lane with Lemon, incredibly strong, a really well-decided champion. You know, having that big, beefy boy you can swallow up, maybe this Jinx, maybe the Fiddlesticks as well, not doing too strong, is always good to have in your back pocket. But Malphite, again, not necessarily a problem. Go in tank, as we can see from the build.
Malphite
not
has one job, and it's to land an unstoppable force on Kassadin, Fiddlesticks, or Jinx. Doesn't have to farm. Just needs to build an item and land an ultimate. That's all this Malphite needs to do, and he's doing a fine job of it, right? Yes, going down 20 CS, but like we say, it's into a Tom Kench, who can be a menace, but that's the most he's going to be here. Good respect there with the claw, just to get away from the lack of vision. There. So yeah, it's sort of unfolding, right? Like we said in the draft, this composition from Pit Ponies is just a little bit more rampant, and they've gotten to their first items first. Jhin hits to 3 kills, gets that solo kill there, assisted kill in bot lane as well. So even without Diana's assistance really in that bot side, this bot lane has been opened up once again. Seems weird to me that they'd bother banning other champions other than Jinx when they know they can beat Jinx, but I'll hold the point.
Double Spear does manage to get one. Jhin slowly ticking away there, does manage to get the flash and uses Ghost there actually. And Death Rocket just goes wide there. So 2 summoners, 1 kill. Really great use there of a Crowstorm. But Diana, not worrying at all, does have vision here on the Dragon. The first one did go to the Wolfhounds, maybe for free. But this one might also then go to the Pit Ponies for free.
Yeah, she's going to burn through that one real fast. I will say that there is now opportunity at the next objective. You know, Jhin hasn't got double sums. And he's a lot of where this gold is at the moment. You've just completed your first item here on Kassadin. It's that Malignance. There is opportunity now to get on that Jhin and get that shutdown gold for the Kassadin. He will be ticking over to 11, I expect, by that point as well. It's just a case of getting your Jinx to their first item point as well. And then you can start to look to fight again. Not too sure what she's building really towards here. Is that the Kraken Slayer again? I'm going to assume. So when she hits that point, she's going to just need one of those assists to start opening up. Trouble is, again, right, these ultimates are already online for all the other carries on the side of Pit Ponies, and they're all otherwise ahead. So it's going to have to be a carefully curated and chosen fight. But I think it starts with targeting that Jhin and then starting to worry about everything else. But as long as you keep your ultimates ready and in time, like
makes the path forward here, just in range of the Frozen Tomb is indeed, and both ultimates used there, and it's a delete button on that Kassadin there. And there it is, just such great engage for both the Diana and the Lissandra. The Crowstorm does come through again onto an overextending laner. Oh, the flash forward. Oh, it does come through, but I don't think it's enough for the flash forward. Also for the Fiddlesticks again. Just goes right, and this Lissandra getting away with the skin of their teeth both times. It's so hard to ensure the kill here on this Lissandra. Oh, the Abyssal Dive there coming through onto Malphite. A little bit of retaliation. But this Lissandra, what a great pick.
Yeah.
It's so hard to ensure a kill.
Comparing this performance on the Lissandra to the Hui, right? It kind of fulfilled everything we wanted. Something with a bit more sustain, something with an escape. Because if that's Hui, that's a dead Hui. That's not a dead Lissandra. And that is so much value. Looks so comfortable on that as well, understanding the range. Oh, I'm nearly dead, but if I flash, I can get into E range past this one. No, Fiddlesticks can't chase. I'll hold this one here. Diana's in trouble.
Death Rocket comes forwards. Curtain Call does open up. Don't think anyone's quite low enough, but they know exactly where Jhin is now. Kled comes forwards. Unfortunately, no one is there at the moment. The Zap does go wide. I don't think they're managing to kill this Jhin. The great footwork there. The root does come down. And look at that damage there. The Collector does collect a few gold. Glacial Path does just go wide there. But the Kled here onto the back, getting Nico.
Nico still has all
them forward. Oh, and there it is. Pop Blossom comes through onto 3. Does lose Skull. Frozen Tomb comes forward. And there it is, the Jhin. Already dealing insane amount of damage. I think this again she'll join them at the cemetery. Unfortunately, the Fear does manage to ensure that this Lissandra doesn't manage to catch up with them. But here it is, a pretty juicy looking mid lane tower that I think they're going to
6 grubs. I think this tower's written, maybe even I shouldn't expect 2, but they need to start warding this Raptor bush. They need to start to have blue wards on these Jhin. Because otherwise you're going to start losing out to Fiddlesticks ultimates like this.
Past Lissandra. Don't think it's enough damage though, unfortunately. Here comes the Rift Herald charging forward onto the tower. And there's also a Diana coming forward. Oh, just managed to land the ultimate on 3. So much damage coming out there. Flash forward, just get knocked back.
Is this an inhibitor?
Going to get this cast in. And let's land that W, of course they do. Jhin does not miss. It's a pinpoint sniper right now, and I'm loving this here. from the side of the Pit Ponies. Already 60 minutes in this game has flown by into the inhibitor.
Christ.
This is carnage.
Good recognition there from Pit Ponies, I think, throughout all of those stages, knowing how far they can go and what they can get away with, right? Diana's here, she's taking the Herald, she's the one in trouble, she gets gone on. Jin's there to kind of back up. Sadly, Malphite uses his ultimate to get away rather than go in. I think there's more room for him to sort of hold on to that one or to assist the Jin by using the ult onto 3.
Let's get the fear here, but I don't think it's a push forward. Or maybe it might be the
she's got the blast cone. She should be
here as well.
Kled invests the ultimate. But I don't think they have enough vision to merit that one. But yeah, like I was saying, Pit Ponies, understanding that they have their ultimates, and if that team groups, they're going to get onto Malphite.
Does have ultimate there. It is to get away.
Diana here
also does get
almost
pushed
has
forward.
Moonfall back up.
Diana's
she is
here,
mighty
though,
fed.
as you say. It's hard to pick away at the Tahm Kench, but it's not hard to pick away at that Kled. Does fall down, does get chomped up. Ooh, Crowstorm forward, Fear into Diana. No flash, no ultimate here onto the Malphite. Can they get him? No, they can't. The movement speed is just enough, and thank God to the Q. Managing to steal movement speed there to get away for the Malphite, but it is under tower here. Jin is running up to give a little bit of aid. But can they dive this one? It is a tanky boy. Does have Sunfire, and they are indeed able to take it effortlessly here in the top side. The first death to that Malphite. Ooh, Glacial Path does go the wrong direction, but Nico is here. Doesn't get caught out thanks to Redwood. Pop Blossom. Ooh, Flash and Rift Walk there. So hard to pin down now. A Cassidin almost topping up that tier. Moving around the map, but just about getting away there.
Some good looks for the Wolfhounds here, able to get out from overextending. I'm surprised Cassidin wasn't attacked early when he TP'd deep into that lane. I think Malphite perhaps could be a bit more patient with using ult and flash. It seemed to only ever use it to get away. I think you're a Malphite, right? You have a lot of armor, you have a lot of health. You should be fine just to kind of walk here and then wait and see. So the Tahm Kench and Fiddlesticks get the better of that one in the end. They are able to trade 2 for 1 total. So Wolfhounds looking pretty confident. They do need to get this Cassidin back and healthy and here, because otherwise I don't think they're able to win this fight.
Here for the Pit
Ultimate
Ponies.
Available for Diana this time.
Ooh, goes forward here. Curtain Call comes forward. Tahm Kench at the front though. Jinx just out of range. Crowstorm only managing to catch that Lissandra. Frozen Tomb on top of that. Fiddlesticks though does go down. Tahm Kench managed to get the lick to get a kill there, but this Jinx is not tagged up by the stun. Does not matter there. There it is. A Q onto the face of Jinx, ensuring there is only one member alive here on the Wolfhounds, and it's just unfortunate there. They managed to get the 5-man collapse before the Wolfhounds could. And this Jin, again, this Sadie carry, I'm worse than you. Well, I'd like to say they're better than them right now, because they are just such a menacing force in both games. And unfortunately, this Jinx is so far behind. Just the Kraken Slayer and the half an item there. There he goes forward. Kled can't be disabled at this moment. Does go forward. Pop Blossom does manage to catch 2, but is fearing right now. The Ignite is just enough to take over there, but it's only one member here of... Oh, no, it's not. It's a catch-up. The Abyssal Dive here goes forward. And it's just turning into a Crowstorm right now, despite the Fiddlesticks not being here. Does manage to chomp at just the right time there. Good shield here onto the Jinx. Zap does go wide. Look at the health.
But Diana's here.
And Lemon wants to go for it, but gets surprised there. But that's Diana on the return. And Kled is already back up. I don't think it's going to be able to do much indeed.
Sidin's alive in 5. They're able to kill him before, but that was with the whole Pop Blossom. No Frozen Tomb available for Lissandra. If Cassidin can get into this backline, he should be able to recover this game, but it looks like it's Diana getting the backline first.
Skull gone. And also Kled's gone there as well. Fiddlesticks managed to get one of the Crowstorm forward, but they're just free-firing here onto Nexus. Can Jin do it? Maybe one auto attack. Yeah, they'll do it there on the Fiddlesticks. And it's just here. Jin on the backside has to reload. No one helped the minions, want him dead. And they don't manage to do it. Just over 20 minutes there. 20-minute game. 26 kills to 10. And as we maybe alluded to, and thankfully, my house isn't gone, because we are indeed going to game 3.
Yes, we are. Got to keep your house for now. We'll see if you make any reckless bets next week. But no, yeah, a great showing from Pit Ponies here. This was kind of what we expect to come out from draft. I don't think anything here was really adverse to the expectation. We did say that Wolfhounds want to be at 20 minutes stable. They were not stable. They got to 20 minutes and they did not like the look of it. Diana diving straight in onto the back line. You saw the Tahm Kench ability to use his ultimate there and save that Jinx. but he was the only one winning his lane, right? So you kind of want to see Tahm Kench being able to pair or go to toe with everyone, but sadly, he's not going to be able to do that. There's a Conqueror on the Diana. He can challenge that. There's a Collector on the Jhin. He's not going to be able to out sustain all of that. And again, all of those ultimates coming in. You saw it at that team fight. They're fighting without this Kassadin here at this Dragon. You have no inhibitor as well. Kassadin's opted to defend the base. The other 4 members are sort of caught where there's a curtain call. Suddenly you have to move and spread apart. The slow comes in on those ultimate strikes. Boom. There's now room for Lissandra to close a gap, for a Diana to close a gap, and there's not a lot of wiggle room for you to fight that, right? Tahm Kench, cool, you can eat a Jinx, but now you don't have a carry to do damage anyway. You were kind of stuck. I think Pit Ponies really just utilized that draft very well. I liked how they attacked the Fiddlesticks in that draft. Did get bit by the Fiddlesticks a couple of times. Still a good showing from Fiddlesticks, despite the disadvantage they were put at. But again, just not the draft, I think, for Wolfhounds. Throughout their game, it felt like, yes, you have these tools, but they're worn, they're rusty. You're not going to be able to sharpen them up in time because Pit Ponies, they were slick. Those tools, they were shiny, they were gleaming, they were fresh off the wall at Tool Station, wherever, right? They were top of the line products. And it felt like so much more well-oiled. They looked so much more comfortable. I think a big difference was AJ in that mid lane as well this time. Lissandra definitely looked a lot more comfortable. The mobility, being able to surprise people, get out, get in when needed, backing up that Diana, backing up that Nico, setting up for the Malphite, everything else just came together for the Pit Ponies. So now Wolfhounds have to do what Pit Ponies just did to them.
Yeah. Take
a look at this draft. Is there anything here that we want to attack? They now also get side select. I expect maybe they might take that blue. I don't hate Kled support, but I don't think it was the pick. I think there's maybe arguments there that could have been Poppy. That's at least going to protect you from Nico proto belts and stuff. You're a lot more able to facilitate room for that Jinx. Lissandra's life's a bit more difficult. Diana's life's a bit more difficult. I think Zoe definitely has more picks in their repertoire that they'd like to see. I think if Pit Ponies were to bring a similar composition into Game 3, but we're just going to have to wait and see for that Game 3.
We absolutely are, and you're certainly right. They managed to spin it on its head, the Pit Ponies, and they took that game by the head. But can the Wolfhounds use this little bit of momentum behind them now? You know, we've seen the adaptations come through. Will they flip it onto blue side? We'll have to wait and see. But Game 3, as we alluded to all night long, is going to be a juicy one. I cannot wait. So don't go anywhere. We'll catch you just after this short break. And just like that, we are back for game 3 as, I guess, as promised, but definitely as hoped, because we are very much excited for this one. I feel like this is the game which we knew was going to be most close, most competitive, and it really has lived up to that. We were saying how this game was really a flip of the previous one. Game 2 was so great from the Pit Ponies. Game 1 was so great from the Wolfhounds, though. So both teams can take this. And I really feel like it all comes down to that draft. Pit Ponies drafted incredibly well. But the Wolfhounds can do it. They know what to do. They picked the Silas, who is incredibly potent, and almost kind of made the Vi, made their jungler redundant, because Silas could do it better. So it really is all to play for here. Jinx maybe could be one of those champions that we don't see come through into game 3. Really struggled game 1, but just had that little bit of presence and a contingency plan in game 1, but just far from being at all involved in game 2.
So loser gets side select, and Wolfhounds have elected this side again, right? So they're happy having their counter pick. I don't think they used it to its fullest last time, and I'd like to see them shake up their bans, because they've had the same so far, and they've had 2 teams, like 2 sets of 5 data on what the Pit Ponies like to play. Some of it wasn't successful, and you see the whole team got shaken up last time. I expect the Caitlyn and Briar probably the same, probably for good reason, right? You don't want to like ban lists, and then it turns out, oh well, they were just such a good like Darius all along mid lane, right? So it's up to, I think, Wolfhounds here to make sure that they're coming in and using this red side to its maximum, making sure that they're taking out some of the better jungles, like Diana, for example, here, gone, putting them back towards something like they were on in the first game, but still feeling comfortable with this first pick, still feeling comfortable with their first 3 bans. I like it. Nothing needs to change, at least so far, for the Pit Ponies, and I agree, locking in that Jhin.
I like to see that there. Shen taken away, Tristan taken away, and the Draven locked in. I like this. We're not seeing any more Jinx, and instead we're going for someone even more ruthless. I'm crazy with the Draven. I like to see this adaptation already here from the Wolfhounds.
And it's so much more aggressive, right? We've seen this bot lane struggle 4 games in a row. I love the Thresh here. I was going to say something aggressive, something with CC that can just set up the Draven. But as well, right, if, like I was saying, this lane, if you know, they're not the most self-sufficient, Thresh is a champion that can at least keep you safe, right? You don't have to be tanky on that Thresh. You can kind of sit a small couple yards away with that Lantern. It's going to be great playing into Nico. You can pull people out of Blossoms. So Thresh's positioning is going to be super important. And it's a traditional support, I think, for the first time we see it on Zoe. Unless it ends up in another lane, I'm not going to put myself in a pitfall like that. But it's going to be unique to see, right? Because Zoe loves to break out of these lanes, play something unique, something unexpected, and that gives them that sort of edge. So Thresh is a champion I expect them to be much more rehearsed playing against. But as well, right, it's Draven Thresh. This is a much more standard lane. We'll see what they can do with it, rather than, you know, somebody that's leaking off into lane and letting that Jinx sort of fall behind. This is lane I expect them to see pay so much more attention and sort of invest so much more in. I take it back.
Ooh, okay. So where will I go?
Draven Draven top?
Yeah.
There I was, like, defending myself just in case the Thresh goes somewhere, but it's it's the Draven instead. Draven support, Zaya support threshold.
Another cook for Wolfhound. We love, we pay for, we love to Wolfhound.
This is interesting. It opens things up. Nico Jin, similar to last game, really quite solid bot lane. You know, they managed to ensure that Jin didn't die. Got incredibly fed. They're running back with that again. They're not going to vie in for that first draft that they had in the game. They instead go in here with a similar one, but it does have the flexibility for you to kind of go, right, do we actually want Draven or Xayah bot? Maybe you could put Xayah in a different lane, but it means Draven is definitely going to go into a different lane. I'm excited. Maybe Xayah could go mid lane. Maybe. It's a big cook. Nefiri, though, I do like the Nefiri. It's quite a guaranteed form of engage. The Flay can be used to eliminate that engage from Nefiri, but it's quite fiddly to manage.
Yeah, but it's a tough one, that one. And the Mumu taken away as well. So yeah, they're continuing to take away some of these like big junglers that have ease of access and ease of engage. And Mumu, Diana, big AoE ultimates. They're taking away some of this potential that they got sort of struck down by last game, right, where they could just overlap some of these circles. Nefiri feels like the odd piece here at the moment. It seems weird to me that they'd ban Kassadin. I expect Nefiri to thrive in that lane, sort of. Kassadin does well into like mages. Nefiri is also good into mages, right? So I'd expect that to go the other way. I like the Sylas ban. I believe it's mid, and potentially still Zoe could play it, right, depending on whether they play Thresh somewhere else. So again, Sylas could potentially brawl with Nefiri, but I still feel like you would pick ranged into Nefiri to kind of make those first couple levels of Nefiri difficult. The Syndra has been a hot topic, it seems, in the bans. I wonder if it'll make its way through this time. Still going to be blind Tahm Kench. That seems odd to me, right? You have so much time to pick counter, and you know probably what's going mid. I would have picked mid there and then left that to last, because it now cements that Draven or Xayah is probably mid instead, right? And now you've left your counter pick for jungle, which probably should have been in the place of one of those and leave you flex till later. So the Malphite comes in again. That makes sense. You're looking at Draven and Xayah already, so you're going to force it back onto an AP jungle. Likelihood is Brand with the Fiddlesticks that we've seen so far. Okay, so it's... okay, right, so it's Nefiri jungle in this case, right?
Yeah.
Hui going to be mid. I still would have preferred to see the Lissandra. I think Blind is so much more... Game. Like, it worked so well last game.
So well.
I don't see a reason why you wouldn't do it again this time. I do love the range on Hui, right? Like Hui Jin, and you've got kind of Nico and Malphite to bodyguard for it. So I don't hate Hui. I just think I prefer the Lissandra here, and Viego is going to be the one rounding out this composition. Not great looking into the Malphite, but as long as Viego can possess the Hui or Nico, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Then melting through the rest.
Yeah, no, absolutely rightfully said. I mean, as you said there, we were probably looking at expecting a AP jungler, and the Brand was a really good show in the previous game, and Fiddlesticks, I think, really did quite a good job. Some great Crow Storms using that vision. Would have expected that maybe to have come out. It does mean if this Viego does get ahead and get some possessions onto some really key players on the pit ponies, it can be really positive. But that much AD and champions that really require insane amount of AD, Draven, Xayah, both champions that really need that AD to just excel in the game. If they don't get that and they're not kind of super strong, they can be really easy to pin down. So interesting to see that come through there. But again, I feel like both teams have champions that we expected. Maybe the Tahm Kench was really quite solid again, especially with the Shen band out, was a really quite a successful top laner. Really did manage to push that Malphite out of lanes many times, as we saw. It was always a flash unstoppable force backwards towards the tower, never forward. So that seems like a top lane that they're happy to kind of go back into. We'll have to wait and see who exactly goes bot lane. I'll imagine that Tahm going top again for that kind of guaranteed success that they've been having here on the Wolfhounds. But it's still up for grabs, and I feel like, again, maybe the pit ponies with their variation of damage and lockdown is looking quite promising here on the side of the pit ponies.
Promising indeed, right? Like, it's definitely the closest draft so far, simply because a lot of these elements are more intermixed than we'd expect. Like, even the pit ponies have kind of flexed some things here as well. I think my main concern really for the for Wolfhounds is the armor stacking rate. I think you could even maybe rush Zhonya's on Nico as well. Like if you went Proto Belt into Zhonya's plus like Ninja Tabbies, you're gonna have a pretty good time frontlining without like neglecting any of the AP or a like value you get out of your omelet landing on multiple targets. The trouble is that I think without that backup form of Lissandra engage, you are relying on Nico finding a flank or Malphite not ulting backwards this time, right? You can make some picks with like Jin and Hui range. You can catch somebody out off guard. But between the Tahm Kench and the Thresh, you actually have a lot of protection for these carries. So I think if Wolfhounds are able to execute on the like positioning of Tahm Kench and Thresh, having 2 supports and then 2 AD carries, it's kind of sneakily been the pattern of their gameplay, right? Trist and Jinx. Yeah. This seems very much the evolution of Wolfhounds to me. Is that like, cool, we can put chips in 2 baskets and we have 2 pretty well built baskets in the Thresh and Tahm Kench to stop those eggs from falling out. And then worst case, we've got Viego. So if we fall behind and they get ahead, it only takes 1 kill to swap that around. So I think Wolfhounds are actually quite well positioned here, seemingly comfortably as well. But that's not to say that's not the case with Pit Ponies. So I think ultimately it's going to come down to, again, I think same story for game 1 and game 2 when you start to reflect on it. Mid jungle, right? Game 1 went the way of Wolfhounds because their mid jungle bullied Hui out, and then that meant that they could bully Vi out, and that game wasn't recoverable. Kassadin got bullied out by Lissandra, who was then able to get first blood on Fiddlesticks, who was able to be impactful, but not influential, right? So Pit Ponies run over that game. This game, I think it's going to come down to how well Neferi can farm out against a Viego. I don't expect it to be quite as efficient as Viego. I don't expect the ganks to be quite as effective, considering Tahm Kench is going to be hard to gank. Draven and Thresh have multiple bits of CC to deal with, so I think wherever that Xayah is probably the lane to attack. I expect that Xayah to be in bot lane, which it is. So yeah, I think for once it is going to be another call. I say for once. It's going to be the 3rd time that I ask here for the Pit Ponies to kind of invest their chips into bot side, but it seems that's exactly what the Wolfhounds are doing level 1.
They really are. Look at that, going straight into the tri-push. All 5 of them. Looking here. Could they manage to pincer this Nico and Jin? I don't think they'll be able to here, but I'd love to see this though from mid lane. From mid lane. Getting the Draven AD carry, always quite consistent, but look how they managed to land the hook. Flash is used there by Neferi. That is the jungler. That is the person getting pushed off. That is the person you want to be pushing off their red buff start.
Pit Ponies should have moved into their top side, put some walls down, right? Because there's then the opportunity now that Neferi backs goes into top. You know that all 5 members are down here. You could potentially catch Phil starting topside instead of bot if he decides to walk up there. So I think opportunities missed here by the Pit Ponies, and there's no reason Neferi has to show there to land a Q when they know that all of those members are going to be there. You shouldn't have to tank that hook. So a bit of a falter here for the jungle already, which doesn't bode well considering our win condition established for this game is going to be mid-jungle priority. So a little bit of concern there, but not irreparable, right? You don't need a flash really that early as a jungler. But it is a lot of information and, you know, starting off on the right foot for the Wolfhounds.
It really is, absolutely. And, you know, it is a shame Neferi no flash, no health potion as well. It's little things that could maybe add it to this Viego managing to get a counter gank, managing to get a counter invade, and manage to make things spin on Cross's head. But I don't think it's a huge deal. As you can see, Neferi just doing incredibly well at farming already. Here we have, though, and unfortunately there, that just maybe might mean that Neferi just gets all this CS ahead of this Viego. It's ever so unfortunate there. Does lose the leash.
Yeah, but it's going to put him a bit behind, but again, like, not repairable, right? That kind of meets up for like the flash, right? We're now back to par. It's not going to really change the gold lead. It's just going to maybe set back a timing on a gank or something if you were planning out a route or a wave bounce. So unfortunate, but nothing necessarily lost.
This is it, exactly. But we know we've seen both junglers be incredibly impactful in either of their wins, and I'm sure they'll be impactful in this game as well. But I love to see the Draven here. A lot like that Tristana, who can just kind of really be a pressure and a pain point for what we saw. Tristana against that Hui as well, be a real pain point. But, you know, picking the Hui again, something that is clearly a very confident champ being played on AJ. Might we see that again? That confidence comes through like we saw in the Lissandra. A lot harder to pin down. in a gank with a Viego and a Draven. But speaking of this, red buff here, slowing down that Viego. Viego, I think, is mindful that we don't want to be losing even more CS here. It's been quite a rough start already, but a ward is here on the bush. Draven's come up.
here as well.
Tom Kench is coming as well, though. They can just spin over the wall into the Baron pit. Nothing worried about at all there. But look at that CS difference between Tom Kench and Malphite there. Again, this top lane Lemon consistently doing quite well at these top lane advantages, but maybe sometimes struggling to really portray it across the map. But great to have that consistency in the top lane. Might be a huge turning point later in the game.
Yeah. Didn't expect much difference out of this top lane. I think I would have liked to have seen Mech take something other than Arcane Comet. I don't think you expect to win the lane with Malphite, so why would you bother taking Comet, right? It's not going to be impactful late game because you're building tank anyway. I think Grasp would have been much more efficient. It's going to allow you to trade better into Tom Kench, who's also got the Grasp, and allow you to scale a little better for the purpose that you want. So perhaps a missed opportunity there for Meg, but not wasting any opportunities is Phil looking to just kind of bully this way, who's late
playing on the side of it.
Does land a stun.
Spectrum Warnings come through, as you say. Their little bit of damage comes through and a bit of return fire as well. Nothing to worry about just yet. Someone is still up and all sorts. Nefiri taking top crab. And here goes Viego taking the bot crab in return there. But here, no board on the top side. Draven hovering around the bot side of the map in that mid lane. And the Flay just goes wide there. I think he might be okay, but as a result, Viego coming forward.
Flash and barrier, but no mana, no stand aside either, so his free range.
Ooh, the dash forward, but does mean he goes into tower range. Barry just comes through and does manage to stay alive. Viego manages to get the possess after that kill there. First blood to the Wolfhounds. Draven getting away in a slither of health. Manages to get the poke. It doesn't quite deal enough damage. It's too early right now with just a Doran's Ring to deal any meaningful damage. Maybe the Viego going a bit too far right now, though, but noticing there's a real potential to be had here. TP used by the mid lane, used by Hui, but does manage to get the second kill there. The Fear does go wide there over the wall. And there goes Thresh Lantern out of any danger. Amazing to see that there from the Viego, going deep, but going deep knowing that they can get a kill there. Love to see that. Wolfhounds off to a cracking start there despite a turbulent start in the jungle. Viego doing incredibly well there. Already 2 kills to him.
Excellent management, I think, there. I think Pit Ponies were maybe a bit too slow to move their bot lane, or at least Nefiri was too eager. Should have waited a little longer for the bot lane to be there. Yes, Viego would have backed off, but you then don't have that happen, right? Because you know Thresh is going to be there with the Lantern. Zoe moves exactly where they need to be to throw that Lantern in the right place. Not moving into the pit, not anywhere else, but the natural escape there as well. So just, I think, a better showing from this mid-jungle in the early parts, and that's been the key to these games so far. I think Nefiri's played decently, trying to trap that Viego, almost getting that kill, but it's so far Wolfhounds collectively moving around the map together, working together on this map like they did it from level 1 that Pit Ponies haven't been able to manage it. It's happening there again. Zoe checking the dragon, a level up on this jungler as well, pushing them out from that objective. The time lost there for the Nefiri. And it's these little advantages here. Oh, Hui maybe, overreaching.
Hui pushing forward here. Draven coming forward as well to catch up. Maybe get us. Oh, looking for an assist there with the hook, the Lantern.
Oh,
there, but it does not need the assist because he gets the kill with the execute there on the axes. We love to see that. They're incredible, giving the kill over to Draven. Of course, cashing in a bit of gold. Always like to see their pickaxe picked up as well. And that's what we like to see. The attack damage is needing to be stacked there on the Draven to be any form of meaningful damage come later against that Malphite, who is going to be stacking it, no doubt. Already has cloth armor. But great here. First dragon of the game, the Wolfhounds. Yep,
and it's the pretty much perfect early start, right? You've got gold extra onto the Draven. You've had the jungle kill as well, and now you get the dragon to boot too. Bot lane's surviving as well. There. You now get opportunity into top side as well. So if Viego wanted to get into these grubs, Malphite hasn't got a flash to play around with on that unstoppable force. So Wolfhounds continuing to create little bits of advantages. It's now up to them to make sure they maintain to it, because again, Pit Ponies now aren't drafted into a corner like the worst, aren't in a position like they were in the first game where they're relying on only 1 or 2 members to engage. They just have to be considered about which fights they take, right? They know they're behind from this point. I think they need to look to play towards this Jhin. He's the one that is currently winning his lane. I've said it a couple of times before. Thresh has been out of this lane, so Xayah now 6. It's going to be a lot harder to attack. But I think you still absolutely have to. You see Viego here paddling towards the spot side, despite the fact that Grubs are up, perhaps anticipating it. But I don't think it's going to come of anything because both junglers are on the opposite sides of the map, and things only seem to happen when they're on the same part.
That's it, exactly. Tom Ken's dropping a ward there on the Void Grubs, noticing this is bizarre. Normally the Void Grubs gone by now, but it does mean that they're still open as a potential team fight to be had there. Bot lane is pushed in for the side of the Wolfhounds. And again, this way, unfortunately, despite such a stellar performance from Lissandra and AJ, struggling to make massive impacts here right now, but is doing incredibly well to stay ahead on CS. Always the potential to come back later in the game, and with so much CC on that Hui there in the back pocket, could really be stacked up to do incredible amounts of damage. But right now, things are slowing down. Or are they? Here, they're spotted out on the wards.
Oh, here's a Hui. Has a flash, but I'm going to have to use it. But yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, Hui can get a wave in, Draven can farm it. But the trouble is that Hui can't stay. He was able to get the plate, but he's never ever going to get too much more than that. And I think he was lucky, really, to get out with his life there, recognizing he was too far ahead and creating enough distance. I think maybe if you wait on the spectral advance,
here, and Zoe does.
Good dodge on the hook. But yeah, so Hui going to be doing all right in this lane for now, but Draven, as you say, going to be able to pick back up some of that. So stand aside there.
Does push forward maybe a bit too much here. Flay. Oh, the box does not hit there due to the flash. They decide to do a bit of return fire. Curtain call opens up as well. The ultimate comes down from the Hui onto the Draven. He's dead. So is the Thresh, and there it is. Unfortunately, it backfires. They stayed made a little bit too long. They stayed. And it bit them in the backside. But Viego's getting a bit angry. Oh, Spectral Mode does go wide on the flash, but doesn't matter. Oh, it goes over the wall there. The Nefiri does manage to get the possession. And the ultimate comes back out again, but does have flash. The ultimate again there comes forward for Viego, and it is just enough to go over the wall. How many ultimates does Viego need? Well, but looks at about 3 or 4 there. Incredible. And it is a Nefiri / Viego prancing around the map, feeling very, very good indeed. 4 kills to 0. But look at that return fire. It means Zoe coming up to the mid lane that leaves that Xayah there in such a moment of just impracticality, not being able to do anything with Zoe. Jhin down bot lane there, and it bites them in the back. It's so unfortunate there, but as we say, Zoe maybe spending a bit too much time in that mid lane. But great to see that return fire as well there from Wolfhounds, not calling out despite quite a fearsome start.
Yeah, I love that from the pit ponies, right? I think the bot lane's kind of recognizing, well, it's hard to attack this lane because there's the Featherstorm and the Lantern, right? So if Thresh is out of the lane, we should just go to where the Thresh is, right? We've pushed the wave in. Xayah is going to have to answer this. So they move up, and that long range from the curtain call means that when that bot lane engages, not bot lane, sorry, when the Draven and Thresh team up here on that Hui, they're ready for it, right? Nefiri's in the vicinity as well. They've got 4 members. It's a pity that Phil can bring the Heartbreaker and break the hearts on the backside of that one and get one in return, but it's still a good showing there for the Pit Ponies getting back into this game and putting a foot in the door that was being closed on.
Lemon going forward, noticing the taking Void Grubs here. That is the Viego in the bot lane, not managing to really take any dragons on cooldown right now. Recalls, great to see there. 3 Void Grubs taken up for the side of the Pit Ponies. They'll take that. They enjoy that tower damage. They did incredibly well with it last game. Might we be able to see that come through and translate into Game 3, the final game of this series between the Pit Ponies and the Wolfhounds.
It's getting tense, right? This is the first game where it's been quite as close as it has been, right? I think at least in both of these games, it's been 2K, 3K difference by this point. I think last game it was probably conceivably bigger because it would have ended in 8 minutes time. This game is not ending in 8 minutes time at this current pace. I think it's cool to see the Viego ahead. The trouble is that he's currently the only one ahead, right? Hui kind of still to par with Draven. Both of them opting towards boots means that those first item spikes are going to be a little bit behind. We see them here trying to pick up their second dragon. It might be actually a game once where we get to see the full effect of dragon stacking. Don't think they want to contest this one, and they shouldn't with the feather setup and everything else. Getting into that pit is just too dangerous, and that's the benefit of being on red side there. Attacking that objective is so much more pleasant of an experience. So good I think measured approach there. We'll check it, see if there's any point of weakness. Press the panels, see if any of them like wobble or shake. Check each stone one by one. Wolfhounds had that one ticked and crossed. Not really going to attack this one, but they are instead going to attack the
AJ
Quay.
pushing forward there, despite knowing that there's a Thresh and a Viego there, but the hook does go wide. AJ getting away with that one there, but again exposing the bot lane. Jin's opted to recall, pick up a few items, come back. He does allow Zaya to get a few CS. Alleviate that difference right now. Ultimate used though by Nefiri. Ooh, hook does come out there, prevents the full engage. The box into the flay. The ultimate has come out from Hui onto that Thresh. Ooh, does not manage to kill her, but the whirling death does. And there it is. Viego comes just in time. And it's 2 kills for nothing on the side of the Wolfhounds. Unfortunate there from the Pit Ponies. The Chomp does come out. The Devourer is munching away on this Malphite. Does have flash though. Lemon notices that. Away they go. But incredibly strong there to see. Not even the Viego get there really for most of that fight. It was a clear 2v2 then, just the end, the tip end of it. Viego comes to get that kill. But there it is. That way really falling far behind now, 0-4. Nothing like we saw that in last game from Lissandra. Yeah. It's unfortunate to see this way do and have a struggle in time against this Draven. Clearly the AD carries very much favoured here in the mid lane on the side of the Wolfhounds, but Viego does not stop, does have red buff. The root does go wide, manages to get the Spectral more onto Nico. Pop Blossom does come up, but doesn't manage to do anything. Possession does come through, Huck goes wide. And it's just the 1 kill here for the side of the Wolfhounds. This Viego being an absolute menace. Heartbreaker pushing forward, Conqueror doesn't even need to take the possession because they are just so strong. And they've only got a Kraken Slayer and a Longsword. What's going on here? Viego, incredibly strong right now, 6-0. Really a difference maker here in this game.
Unsure of what the Pit Ponies were thinking there, right? Like, I don't hate the angle that the Nefiri's taking, but I don't think you were quite at Eclipse yet, right? And you're staring at a Draven that had, boots and a Vampire Scepter, and he could be quite sufficient on that. And Hui's part health, Thresh is there as well. And wherever there's Thresh, somebody else is only ever really a lantern away. So I don't hate the angle of trying to shut down and get this Hui back into the game, but again, it's starting to make me question why not Lissandra at this point. Yeah, the lane's maybe going to be a bit harder with the shorter range, but at least when Viego's coming for you, you have the Frozen Tomb. And then there in the bot side, you see the Viego's coming. You know he's not going to be anywhere else on the map because he's not going to be diving Malphite. He's not going to be a mid because he mid's just died. You've got to be careful there in the bot lane. Get caught out. And then just an overstep by Jin, giving it over. Viego has his ultimate reset. There's just no reason to risk that one. I think you should have used the Ghost first and held the Flash. Ended up using both and dying anyway.
The Nefiri ultimate does get used. Is it going to be enough though? Abyssal Diver comes through. Draven doesn't have Willing Death. I wish he did right now. I think Nefiri can just about get away here. Flipping over the wall. Getting out. But there's pressure from the side of the Wolfhounds. Look at the jungle. There's nothing there really to take. Everything's been taken. The Empowered Recall does come out though, which is a little bit of a saving grace there. Rift Herald taken. All the purple objectives to the Pit Ponies. All the dragons to the Wolfhounds. Nothing insurmountable just yet, but the goal lead is starting to stretch now. 27,000 to 23,000. Starting to grow on the side of the Wolfhounds. And their carries are just doing such great jobs right now. But armor stacking yet to come.
Yeah, this is exactly the point, right? Is that at least the pace of this game has been slower than the other sort of wins, right? Yes, they're ahead, and as you say, the God Lead is starting to stretch. They have 2 Drakes, but you're going to have time to claim some of these bounties on these objectives, shut downs on some of these players. You've not really seen a full team fight yet, and this team comp kind of wants that with the Malphite and everything.
But maybe caught out here. Does have Flash, does have Barrier. Might have to use it here. It does. But I think slowly ticking away there. Might not be enough there, but here's the Viego. It is indeed enough, though. The bleed from Nefiri does take it over the edge. Unfortunately, just the 1-for-1 there. The Viego, I'm sure, eyes in a frenzy wanting to get that Nefiri. But it's 1-for-1. I'm sure the Pit Ponies will be happy with that one there. An equal fight is what they need right now. It's 3 kills to 10.
It is good news, of course, and they get the ultimate there out of Zaya as well. So this bot lane's been winning in the meantime. The Thresh has been up there. They trade 1-for-1. So we might be able to get some damage in on this tower, which should eventually convert, especially with the grubs, into objective bounty. I was beginning to consider maybe I'd like to see Nico move a little bit more, but if it means that this Jin's going to continue to be ahead, I don't mind. I think the only concern is that this Xayah, because of Zoe's movements, has ended up
Here you go, and
a level up.
1v2 got grass procced, and there it is. I'm sure it'll be another kill here for the Viego, managing to get on top of it with the Nefiri, and there it is. The Heartbreaker comes through, he gets the kill. It's 9-0 right now for this Viego. Incredibly far ahead. Thresh does get a pin down there, though, and there it is.
Nice.
The collective rock in there onto the Thresh. Ultimate curtain call. Doesn't manage to take the dragon. Flash forward there from the Viego. Knows exactly where the Jin is to that curtain call. Does manage to get the kill. And there it is. Another possession here for that Viego. Doing incredibly, incredibly well. Hunting like a Warwick, I'm sure, for this low health Nico, but doesn't manage to get it there. And boy, oh boy. 10 kills. 0 deaths.
Yeah.
2 assists.
As well as
Very
Viego is
strong.
playing, I do feel like Jin has overstepped a mark a time or two. I love the approach there. You get the kill. Maybe you can start to look for this dragon and get the objective. I don't hate the investment of the ult onto the dragon. Maybe you can snipe it away. It's a game 3. I feel like it's exactly the game to try and take that risk with the curtain call. But that close to the pit? Nah, right? You know Viego's going to come back over, and you know he's just killed your teammate, so his ultimate's available, and there's no reason he's not going to when he's at 2 items and 10 kills, right? So I don't think there's a world where you're able to fight that Viego unless you're a 5. So I think there's no reason you need to be that close to the dragon.
Caught out so much damage.
And it's not going to be over as well. He's got to reset.
There.
Yeah.
Pull forward though. And there it is. Another kill. The 11th in fact here. For that Viego, this mid tower. Short to drop. Second tower here for the Wolfhounds. Starting to slowly run away with this game now.
Pit ponies need to group. Warding's going to become important because you need to spot this Viego before he goes into the Shroud. Make sure that you can land the CC and not let him just walk straight in onto your backline like this. Yep, let Nico tank it, but she hasn't got proto belts. She's
rooting the tower.
Zhonya's.
Does get lantern out, but the tower's chasing, and it is enough.
I did not expect that to go that way. I think that was a Leandri's tick on the back of that tower shot that's able to do it. As soon as I diss the Leandri's build, it shows up clutch. But sadly, that is a lot of gold, and it's landing on the Nico, not necessarily some of the carries that you want. But if she's building more aggressively, then go for it. Spend that gold wisely. Get towards something like one of those Zhonyas. Prevent some of those resets coming through. Enable you to get those pop blossoms without too much repercussion. You see some of this grouping now as Malphite's looking to get around this vision, around the Baron. It is on the table this time, so Pit Ponies still have life in them yet, which is good news. They've got some of that shut down onto Viego. They just need to get some of these bounties now.
They really, really do. And this top lane, as you mentioned there briefly, they've not really had a huge impact on this game. They're having their own little game on the top side in favor of the Lemon. Getting that chomp there. Speak of the devil, could this be a first kill here? Flash is still available here for Malphite. Always in safe boundaries, but Nefiri pops ultimate here, goes forward. This Tahm Kench is tanky. I don't think they've quite got enough damage. Only the Eclipse here on the Nefiri, but do have Rift Herald. We'll get a charge here onto the tower, I'm sure.
So he's moving up the river as well.
Very far forward.
Yeah, they recognize they have no real vision on anybody else. So they're like, cool, we can get the Herald charge, but we're getting out because we're so far up this lane. They move their bot lane up here as well, but here's Hui, unprotected on the weak side of the map. Zaya's looking for a piece of gold here as well. I think Viego wants to give this one over. He doesn't need any more gold. Zaya's in the right position.
Getting the movement speed here on those autos. Does flash forward as well. Wounded Death comes through. It is enough here, and nothing taken on the counter side of that map there, top side. Instead, for the Pit Ponies decide to back out, take it slow, and the Wolfhounds getting so much worth here right now, deciding to make and pull the trigger on these plays, and it is rewarding them indeed. 3 dragons to none here. Wolfhounds having the advantage here right now on the bot side of the map.
Good use.
Should they take that 4th dragon, it's going to run away with the Hex Tech. So I'll absolutely, like you say.
Yeah, just good use of the Hex Gates to surprise Hui there, getting around some of that vision. Zaya's able to use that as well as Phil to sneak up around that way. And as you say, right, this is all leading up towards the minute timer where the next Drake is going to be. See Draven now. Going to be really spooky, as spiky as well. I guess that also works at 2 items, but here we are. Malphite finally able to get that tower that was chunked by that Rift Herald. So we need to see the Pit Ponies spend this gold before they look to fight again, but it looks like they see an opportunity.
Root just come down. Root on top of her. Root does get chomped up though. Ultimate here onto the... Ooh, and there it is. The Nico does come down. Ooh, they do manage to take the Root as well from the Nico. But look at this. Jin is low. Flash forward. Heartbreaker out. Gets out. Still 14 kills. Unbelievable triple kill. There's so much damage coming out from Viego. There's 3 dead on the side of the Pit Ponies. Tom Kench having to flash over the wall there into safety. They're all quite low right now. There is a Malphite. Could they do something here? Flash roll from the Beery. Do you get one? One Ultima is used there from the Malphite. Forward for the first time. It feels like in these 2 games, it does mean 1 kill. I love that there.
Yeah.
Thornmill, Sunfire, Steel Cap. Malphite maybe now starting to play into this team, play into the game. Could be really, really potent.
Yeah, Malphite's going to end up being really impactful, especially that Thornmill when you're looking at this Bloodthirster on the Draven. He's probably still going to melt, right, just by the sheer amount of damage that's coming through, and he's not been seeing too much of the gold. He should be okay to get away.
Slowing it down.
Flash, but the
Fury's there, though. The feathers can't fly this time, unfortunately. No sums to get away there. Rooted up here onto Tom Kench, but Viego does manage to get the 4th dragon. Maybe this is just a sacrificial pact here. But the Abyssal Dive does manage to come through. No CC to prevent that from coming through. Maybe they're looking here to get the 3rd tower of the game here for the Pit Ponies. Willing Death hoping to get something. Unfortunately doesn't. Way quite deep here into the jungle though. But Viego just behind does have the damage on the Hex Tech as well. That will deal so much damage, I'm sure. Root does come down, but there it is. Viego, you're in my jungle now.
No,
Maybe
that's so
decides to
nice
give
of
a kill
Viego.
away.
No,
No,
pity it still goes.
Still goes over to the Viego. You can't fault it. Big damage dealer.
No, that's...
But there it is.
Silver linings there for the Pit Ponies. That's going on to somebody that already has gold, right? So that's fine. Your main priority in these fights is still going to be Viego. I like the respect... the lack of respect Nefiri gives there and goes in, gets 2 kills, and then able with the Malphite to pick up the Xayah at the end of that one as well. Are able also to get the turret, so they're able to neutralize some of this gold, which is good because they've just lost out on this
Malphite
soul.
does have ult.
So yeah, I like this angle here from Malphite. They have now spent this gold. They just need the rest of these members to be here because this last fight, Nico did not spend that gold before the fight and died before the Pot Blossom could resolve. Quay at an item as well. He's going to be late to this party. He hasn't got TP available. I think Malphite, you're just looking to do this one. Nico's too far away from the action. If Malphite goes in, you're going to have to spend that flash, which you might need to get out. Don't know where the Viego is in the moment. You can see the Tom Kench on the top side. You're just going to lose this tower if you wait too long. There's a lot of onus here to be sharp about it because otherwise you see that Hex Soul, chipping away at the members. You see Jin at 4/5 health already. See that tower go there in the top side as well. These minions are going to continue to push in, and there it is.
Comes
There's
down
the
to
pick.
Malphite. But the longer they take here, as you say, that Tom Kench can keep pushing. Viego taking their jungle camps. The more they sit here twiddling their thumbs, the more like bleeds from their own side of the map.
Sharing gold,
Unfortunately,
sharing XP. They're just going to fall behind. You have to group, but if you group, you have to pull the trigger because otherwise you're just going to be at a detriment. But they might be able to catch Viego here. He's almost isolated. No, they're just going to give him that respect. Too much fear of the hook. Here's Viego, he's under the tower. Just need to dodge that reset.
Damage does come onto Thresh, but not as much damage coming onto the Jim. Pop Blossom forward. Nefiri goes forward as well. Feathers do fly the boxes down. You see that TP coming down here for the Pit Ponies. Malphite is on the opposite side of the wall. It doesn't get to come over. Flash and barrier coming through there from Draven. Maybe looking to return fire. Does indeed. Willing Death comes through, but does get feared not be able to land a bit more damage. Abyssal Dive comes here onto Nico. Nico pleasantly caught up here. Flash might not quite be enough. There's quite a lot of CC here onto Tom Kench. They do walk away with that, but a sign of life from the Pit Ponies in that team fight.
That started so well for the Pit Ponies there. As we say, they had to pull the trigger, and it turns out they don't have to pull the trigger. They're able to get caught out and still able to turn that one around. I would like to have seen somebody body block there for the Jin, knowing that Viego's there, but everyone playing for their own lives. It's Jin that dies first, but at least that means when Viego takes that possession, he is squishy as hell. Pop Blossom is able to resolve this time, slams him back to the ground, and Nefiri's there with the rest of that damage. Hui also showing up, able to get himself a couple of kills, is worth gold again, has gold in his pocket now, sat at 2 items. Not quite to par, but still catching up, which is a good look. Did get that 3-man grasp with whichever paint color it was, pulling those members in together. And like we said, it's kind of that AoE team fight that this team wants to have. If you're not grouped, you're not going to have all the adding up sums of damage. And they had it this time. Malphite TB, a little bit questionable, too far out of the fight. But I'll hold that point as we have another one.
A lot of players here converging onto Xayah. The root does come down. Oh, but does get devoured just in time. Xayah may be able to get away, but look, the Thresh here in enemy territory. Can he slither out? I'm not sure if he can. Slow comes down here from the Malphite hook onto the Fury, but for what avail, I'm not sure. And maybe Tom Kench maybe should have just backed out here, because I think can be able to collapse. TP is used. The Pistol Dive again comes through. Not much CC to prevent that from happening. Draven's here. Viego is here. Goes forward. Spectral Maw. And the Pop Blossom does manage to catch the Fury. That is great. Getting CC onto that Viego is enough by the looks of it. The root just goes wide there. Tom Kench goes forward. Draven's here. The low health. He's got a lot of damage. One more auto gives him the kill here. Malphite on the backside does have a lot of armor, but a lot of damage is also here on the Draven. I'm sure he'll be able to clean that one up. It's a shutdown on the Malphite onto the side of that Draven already with a Bloodthirster and an IE there. So much damage coming out. A lot of critical strike damage, which you love to see here on the Draven. And look at this. The Wolfhounds change the tide just like that. The Viego almost now not being able to stay as live as long as he'd like to. Maybe more damage than expected coming out here from the Pit Pony. So being able to get slight leads and being able to deal damage now. Blackfire, Leandri's here on the way, maybe starting to do a little bit of tick damage. Another tower taken though for the Wolfhounds, respecting it, backing off.
I love how Pit Ponies played that to start with. Recognizing that they can just take Thresh here, their health bars aren't the greatest to chase, and they aren't the greatest anymore as Jhin gets sniped along with the tower. But I think Viego there just got a bit overzealous, right? He was looking at these health bars, looking a little low, knows he's got the soul behind him, but just got too overzealous, right? You have the Draven, let him catch up. Hui TP, not too sure about as well. I like it out of respect, making sure that you are there for when the team needs you, but there's a chance you just get that mid tower and your team isn't then baited into staying, but here we are getting caught.
Play here, it's enough to catch out the way as we just talked about there. No way to get away, no flash, and here it is. Could it be the 5th dragon in a row to be taken from the Wolfhounds? This one will certainly seal fate here for the Pit Ponies. There's not much they can do about it. Neferi's far out of the pit, does manage to get into it, but in no time, because there it is, a death sealed for the Neferi, and maybe death sealed here for the Nico. Indeed it is. An incredible abyssal dive. The execute there is enough from the Elder Dragon, and this might soon be the victory march here for the side of the Wolfhounds, who have been slowly but surely ensuring this game is forever in their favor. But all towers still stand here in the side of the Pit Ponies base. Lemon going forward, maybe deterring this Jhin away. He has taken a few damage from a few tower shots here. A lot of damage there. Root does come through from the way. Curtain Call does open. AJ getting so low though. There's the execute from the Dragon. Comes forward. Ooh, does manage to land the fear. And there it is, the Elder Dragon. Let me show you how to play. Wait, let me show you how to play Viego. There it is. Managing to get a triple kill like it was nothing. Lantern out there. And they can continue to push down this mid lane. Neferi still alive. Nico as well. Not sure what they can do here. Root comes through. And not much damage, unfortunately, going into the back there of that Viego. The Death Stance. Slowly alleviating that damage there. A push forward. The first inhibitor taken. But you see the Hextech Dragon there. The soul managing to spark across all those minions. Ultimate is popped from Neferi. Pop Blossom only catching one. They go forward here onto the Draven. He's level 17. And they've got Elder Dragon. There it is. And execute so effortlessly done here into the side of the Wolfhounds. They've got no wave. The Tahm Kench is tanky, but the wave is back up now. They're waiting for this wave. They're respecting it. Hook does go far. They'll delete this wave though. But will it be enough of a wave to take any of these towers before the enemy players get up here on the Pit Ponies? Managing to clear out the wave once again. Hook comes through, but onto the Malphite, unfortunately. They still decide to take it because they've got so much damage on that side of the team. Viego takes Malphite. A lot of health. Does go forward. Does delete the way. Here it is. There it is. It's all done. Jhin is dead. They don't have a wave again, though. Do they decide to take it slow? Do they just decide to attack the tower this time, Kench? I'm not sure. Maybe they're doing a bit of both. And here's Viego abusing that lead. Yeah, making sure that Nico can't get too far out of the base. But they're deciding to take this tower here. Hook comes out again. They just run straight into the Wolfhounds. The Pit Pony's slightly blinded here. So much damage on the side of the Wolfhounds. The wave finally catches up. They take the tower. And looking here at the eye of the storm at that tower. Viego gets his 4th death of the game. But it doesn't matter. There it is. The Nexus taken for the Wolfhounds. It's going to be going. It's going to be going. They're playing with them. They're toying with them. Can Draven get a couple more kills maybe before the end of the game? Gets one. AJ manages to survive And a lick of paint indeed. 41 kills to 15. An unbelievable performance there. So great to see. Again, fate is on their side. It seems that just goes every time on the flip side of that draft there. But great adaptations both times on the winning teams with their drafts. And you know what? We thought the Pit Ponies draft was really well crafted, but the Wolfhounds knew their win conditions, knew their damage, and they sealed the fate with that game there. Incredible to see.
Yeah, Wolfhounds in that final game just looked a lot more comfortable, right? You can see it in the way that they ended that game, just taking that victory march all the way to the Nexus. I think for them, it was very much a case of these champions that we kind of like toying with around, these are the ones we're not toying around with, right? Like, looked so comfortable on Viego all game long, being able to play proficiently all the champions he was slaying as well. Sometimes it's like, oh, I can play Viego, but I can't always play, I don't know, Xerath. Who the hell plays Xerath? How am I supposed to play Xerath? Bad example, but you get the point.
Of course, yeah.
Neferi,
so well versed.
Not the easiest champions just to pick up in the middle of a game, right? Transitioning between those champions can be quite tricky. Does it seamlessly, flawlessly, knows the ranges and distances on that Viego, and took that game almost single-handedly, I think. And it was a case there to spot a trend. The mid-jungle performance dictated that game, and that one was the biggest gap I think we'd seen all series long. I think still the closest game overall. I think all of the members here trying their damnedest and still all on comfort champions. Nice to see the Jhin rock up and around. I think maybe there's some things I'd change about builds or masteries and key runes, but in the end, if that's what you're comfortable with and that's the damage parameters you know, absolutely go in with that. And I think it's just a case that Wolfhounds might not have been better individually. Perhaps you can argue some of the lanes in favor of the others. Perhaps you can argue just the kind of way that they were dismantled by Pit Ponies in Game 2. Maybe Pit Ponies could be a better team. I feel like their ceiling is fairly high, but it's just how well rehearsed I think as a unit that the Wolfhounds are, right? I think the amount of times that they were there to play first, the core of that jungle mid plus Zoe and support moving up, letting Xayah just be self-sufficient, up levels. There's just something about the Wolfhounds play that they just fit so comfortably in together. And I think that means that I'm excited for the Pit Ponies, right? This is a team that we've not really seen play too much. I think they've done super well today, and I think perhaps next time they'd be my favorites out of the two if they can get to the same level of like unity that the Wolfhounds had, right? That Game 2 to me really sticks out. There was not a lot of angles that the Wolfhounds had to get back into that game. Draft aside, right? That composition was excellent. I'm a little bit sad that we didn't see some of those same things ring through into this game, because I would have loved to have seen Wolfhounds draft in Game 3 put against Pit Ponies type of draft for Game 2. Maybe that's something we'll get to see in the next in Welsh 6. But for today, congratulations to Wolfhounds, of course. I think no doubt on today the better team, but I'd love to see Pit Ponies come back and fight for that title back off them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There it is, the series win to the Wolfhounds, and that is the last time that we'll see them play in this week here on the Welsh Esports League. It goes over to the Pirates, and the Pit Ponies will go again next time. But before we leave you, we have a very exciting chat here with Zoe, who is the mastermind behind some of the most exciting support picks from the Wolfhounds. Zoe, thank you so much for joining us here.
You alright, guys?
Yeah, well, good, thank you.
We're doing very well. And Zoe, firstly, tell us, what is there ever a decisive kind of moment in your mind and you're going, I want to go this support this game, I'm fancying this or that? Or is it just on the moment, in the game, decide as you feel with what support you're going to pick? Because you have been cooking and I've been loving it.
What I do is I sit down 40 minutes before the game and I stare at my champion's screen. My eyes start going like red. They're so dry. I'm just like looking. I'm like breathing out of my mouth. And then one of the champions just starts like speaking. They're like, you should play me in support.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And how do you find the Silas game? That for me was incredibly fun to see and incredibly good as well. I felt like that was a really pivotal champion in that lane that really turned that game over. The lanes, the rotations, all really well played. How fun was Silas to play a support?
I mean, like, he's basically just like a homeless guy, and you just show up on other people's lanes, and you just fucking like you just mug them. You basically just like hit them with a bottle you found in the gutter and take their money, and then you give it to your mid laner. And you're like, here you go, bro, and you just win.
Incredibly kind indeed. And Brett, there, I'm sure you pick the brain of the endless pool of knowledge when it comes to support picks here from Zoe.
Yeah, for me, I'm
Six
just
like
kind of curious. To think what you thought of the opponent support, right? Because they didn't necessarily play 100% traditional themselves. I was expecting them to play maybe more traditionally than they did, looking at their history. I saw there was a Nautilus ban as such as well. Were you expecting them to play the Nico and stuff? I know they had Zyra as well, but what were your thoughts about the Nico? Maybe the build, because it wasn't what I'd expect for a Nico to build support.
I mean, like, I'm gonna be real. I don't want to be mean to the guy, but that guy sat in lane for 20 minutes and didn't use a single ability. 100 mana. The guy regened like 4 mana over the course of the entire laning phase. Like, he just didn't use any spells. You're playing a poke champion. Nico's not an engage. He's not an enchanter. You're playing poke. You're not poking. You're sitting there. But it's not Zyra, so.
Yeah. And speaking on that there, I feel like you spent a lot of your time going to mid lane, coming back into the bot lane. Was there ever a case where you felt like maybe you were having to come mid lane a lot more than you'd like? Or was it always a plan coming into every one of those games that you are going to be making that move into mid lane, helping out that mid laner? Was it always a conscious effort to come mid?
I kind of just wander around the map and see what happens. I'm gonna be real. Like, sitting on lane is boring, so I play support. I don't want to CS. CSing is boring. I just go like, bruh. I'm like a fucking zombie. I just walk towards other lanes. I'm like, bruh. I'm just attracted to like the smell of people CSing. I see them mid lane. I'm like, horrible creature emerging from the bushes. You didn't have vision for 10 seconds. I'm gonna jump you and take your fentanyl, bro.
And it clearly worked out in both these games that you won there. Congratulations. Anything to say there for Zoe?
Oh, no, just my commendations. I always love to see a cook. I particularly liked some of your Poppy. I might try Silas out myself. I love the Blood Song, by the way. Absolutely the right choice. I hope to see you again for Welsh 6.
Yeah, maybe we'll win a game this time as well. 10% win rate in Well. Second in 2 tournaments.
Tell why you play
amazing
Singe.
to see
Got the
that.
same
Thank
laugh.
you so much, Zoe. And hopefully we will see you back in Well 6, absolutely.
I'll
but
be kicking around.
The end. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. No, that's really great to hear. But before we go over to Well 6, we do have one more game left coming to you, Pirates and the Pit Ponies. But congratulations again to the Wolfhounds. Well done. And from me, Minicon, and from you, Brett, thank you so much for your time this evening. We've really enjoyed it. What an incredible series.
100%.
Thank you for me. Thank you for Brett. And we'll see you soon.
Take care.